obviously this is a dumb thing and I don't actually believe this, but like, he already saw the cow.
Zach, I'm gonna need you to say that sentence again, but not the way you said it. Like, you could have said, like, he already, like, saw the merchandise or, like, saw the goodies.
I mean, you
don't need to, like, once you already saw the cow.
Right?
He had a cup of moo juice already.
Oh,
Ew.
Alright. Zach's
She had a cup of moo juice.
Grab some popcorn and stick around. We've got some garbage to talk about.
Hi, Rogue.
Hey, Zax.
Hi, Carina.
Hey, Zax. Hey, Rogue.
Hi, Carina.
Merry Christmas, everyone.
Surprise!
Happy
Merry
holidays.
I think we're talking about what we were going to do, and there are lots of Hallmark movies that are very bad.
They're all bad.
And we ended up, well, Carina, you ended up suggesting The Holiday, which I remembered watching when I don't know when, but I do feel like I went through a phase where I just like watched it a lot. And Rogue, you hadn't seen it at all.
No.
And we had a little fun girls' night group watch deal. It was very nice. And I realized that this was perfect for two reasons. One, we found a lot of KLF lore.
Yeah, one reason was Carina, and the other reason was Rogue.
Yeah. We are both in this movie. We have cameos. Just kidding. I was like 7 when this movie came out.
There were a few roles for children. You could have been.
You know, I could have. I could have been a child actor.
But the other reason why I think this is a good video to end the year with is that it was, Rogue, I think you found out it has like a 50% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah.
And we discovered why. Because half of this movie slaps. It's good. And then you have the other half of the movie,
which is hot garbo.
It's a perfect 0.
Yeah.
So how do we want to do this? Do we want to just start strong with Kate Winslet? Or do we want to get Cameron Diaz out of the way?
Let's start off with a really low note, because I think we're going to spend the majority of this video talking about the excellent parts of the movie. So let's just get Cameron Diaz and her awful section of the movie right off the table.
Okay. So, basic premise of The Holiday. Kate Winslet lives in Britain, or England, whatever you want to call them. And she has a bad relationship that just ended, so she's looking to get away. Cameron Diaz lives in LA, and she just got out of a bad relationship, and she wants to get away, so they swap homes. And that's basically the whole movie. And it's just their little vacation.
You'd think that those two characters would interact at all during the movie. They interact in the very beginning when they decide to do the home swap, and they interact kind of towards the end because Kate Winslet's brother finds Cameron Diaz. I don't know.
And then they interact right at the very end for the New Year's party. And then the movie ends.
There's no reason for it to have this premise. They could have been, I don't even know. It could have been
Airbnb the movie.
Now, I'm really glad that Kate Winslet's story happened, but when we were first watching it, so it starts with them, making plans. Basically, this is pre-Airbnb, is basically what this is. And so they're talking with each other via email about the place, and, Cameron Diaz asks, I have one question, are there any men there? And then Kate Winslet is like, none at all, because, we're both in a bad light or whatever. And cool premise that it could have been was they're worlds apart, but they keep checking in with each other and like giving each other suggestions about how to make the most of like their new surroundings, and like it's this weird virtual friendship that's never been closer than any that they've had before or something. Maybe gay.
And then it becomes a sapphic holiday movie.
And then one of them could have had to come home early, and then they bond in person. Like, that would have been.
And then they share that big bed that Cameron Diaz has in her room.
Yeah. The blinds that close automatically.
And then we're like, ooh. And then it
that would have been a completely different movie.
Sometimes I wish it was that movie.
I wish it was that movie, just because like so many of like the sapphic movies I watch get does just so tragically
just so sad.
Like, why can't this just work out?
They're either super sad or like through the male gaze, which neither one of those makes me happy.
Yeah. So, okay. So let's just focus on Cameron Diaz's vacation. It starts off.
She's having a fight with her boyfriend in her large mansion, and ends up kicking him out. She's asking him if he slept with his secretary because he worked late, and that's what the argument is about, and he's denying it. And she brings up that when she works late, then it's a big no-no, but if he works late, it's just because he had to work late. In the end, he admits that he slept with his secretary, and Cameron Diaz is just like, oh yeah, I knew it, cool. And he's like, see, this is why we're breaking up, actually. It's because you can't cry. And that's a big... It's not even a character arc, I wouldn't call it.
It's one of her two character traits.
I do feel like that was like... I mean, spoiler alert, but like, that is her whole journey. Whether will she or won't she learn to cry? And
it's such a shallow character arc, though.
Which is very weird, because like, some people just like don't cry all that
They did
much.
that for one episode in The Crown, and by the end I was like, alright, I've had enough.
Like, so my takes on this fight were twofold. One, they made... I don't think it was supposed to be. I feel like we were supposed to be watching this, like, especially just because it is supposed to juxtapose Kate Winslet. We're supposed to be like, Cam, you don't take any nonsense from anybody, and you give it to them straight to their face. You go, you.
Because she's a
But I was just
businesswoman.
like, yeah. But I was just like, this is toxic as all get out.
Both of them are toxic, yeah.
Yeah, both of you are bad. But also on that front, and now granted, in a romantic relationship, there's not a competition. That being said, he was winning the fight.
More than that, he was getting away. If he hadn't admitted, yes, I slept with her, he would have just gotten away with her never really knowing. He never admitted it. She could think whatever she wanted, I guess, but it would always be there. Well, he never admitted it, so maybe he didn't. But instead, he admits it, and then, okay, that makes his character 10 times worse, and her character 10 times worse, so...
But, yeah, because, like, when he said that, like, even the fact... I like that, like, the gardener, or, not... Because, like, he's there all the time. Groundskeeper guy looks at him and he like shakes his head, and I was like, yeah, bro, you're out. You take that to your grave, honestly. Because also too, because then he's like, oh well, I had to, she's in love with me, she's this 20-year-old receptionist. Yeah, it was real weird. I understand we're supposed to be like, he's a bad man and they're all bad, except for the two good ones we'll meet by the end of this movie, but they're all bad, the rest of them. But, like, I don't know. It seems like, now granted, cheating is never okay, and if a relationship's going bad, I think you should just nip it in the bud. But, like, I don't even know what kind of relationship they were holding on to. They didn't share a bed anymore.
We didn't even get a view of their relationship. was like this one fight that we saw, and then it was over. We don't know if they had like some throwaway line about like, this is what all of our fights are about lately, or you haven't been happy for 6 months or something like that. But it was such a throwaway line. I wasn't invested in these people's relationship. You can, even if you're not going to have a lot of time with the relationship because you're just setting up the rest of the movie, you can still make me invested. I was super invested in not the relationship, but in Kate Winslet's feelings about the relationship, and that had the same amount of setup. So I don't know why they did Cameron Diaz's storyline this way.
Because this movie knew who the real main character was.
Yeah, because that's one thing, too. Like, you bring Kate Winslet, and, like, obviously we're going to go in more detail later, but, like, yeah, there was never a question in my mind. Like, I knew she was in love with this horrible, horrible man. And I knew exactly why he was a horrible, horrible man. But with Cameron Diaz, their whole fight can literally be paraphrased by, like, we should break up. I don't know why we haven't broken up sooner. Bye.
The end. Yeah, that was it.
Roll credits.
That was pretty much it.
Okay, so then now she's a big business lady who
she's
always got work
movie
on
trailers.
the brain, which they will not let you forget. Oh my god.
Oh my god, we'll get to that in a second.
I kind of wish we would have watched the trailer for this movie. Like, what if it's like not that even great of a movie trailer?
It would have just been like those. So there's this cutaway gag that they do a couple of times, and it's super annoying, where they like, I don't even know how to explain it, but there's like a narrator who's like, Amanda, whatever her last name is, she had everything except she didn't. And it's like her inner monologue, but it's someone else.
Here's the thing, though. It's not even a cutaway. It's literally what they did in Stranger Than Fiction. But it's not, like, I don't know. It's what they did in Stranger Than Fiction.
And
yeah,
so
it's
annoying.
like, the voice in her head, like, she processes information like movie trailers.
Because she does that as a job.
Which, the one thing I would have said could have redeemed it is if by the end, when she's, like, worked on herself and realized that work isn't that important, even though she hasn't really been focused on work since she got here. Mm-hmm. But, like, let's pretend that was a
plotline
throughout the whole movie. Yeah. If it had started again and she was like, wait, shut up, I don't need that anymore.
Yeah.
Or something
I'm
like
gonna run
that.
through
Like,
the snow back to you, Jude Law.
Yeah, like something that showed us that like if it was like, because at first that shows when they do it one time, it shows, okay, so she's having trouble getting away from work because she makes movie trailers and like she can only think in movie trailers.
Is that what they were trying to get at? I didn't get that because
No, I'm giving it too much credit. I'm just saying, but that's how they could have made it work.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah. She works with some pretty cool people. She works with Jim Halpert.
Yeah.
And this is his original office.
Yeah. We can see why he went to work for Dunder Mifflin after this. Mm-hmm. Because Cameron Diaz seems like a terrible person to work with.
Because one of the girls, there's Jim Halpert and this woman, and I remember seeing her for something else, but I can't think of her name. But she was like, I'm assuming she was Cameron Diaz's personal assistant because she was like at the house when they were having the breakup. And that's so uncomfortable.
Like, do you live here?
Hopefully you have a...
Are we roommates?
Yeah, or
is it like in Grey's Anatomy where everyone just lives at Meredith's house for the first 8 seasons?
But no, because like, does Kate Winslet even meet her when she moves in for
I think she does because there's a point where she's like talking to Cameron Diaz's staff and she knows them all by a first name and it's this really nice sweet scene. And I think I saw her assistant, but I can't remember.
Okay, so maybe not. But then the first time we see her at work, now remember last time we saw Cam, her boyfriend was like, you can't leave the office at home. That's why we're in this loveless relationship, because you work too much. And then the first time we see her at work, we see her there for like, what, 5 seconds?
Yes. And she's not even doing the work. It's all John Krasinski doing the work.
And then she's just like, cut it, print it. Good. You know
This
what
is why
I
they
need?
pay
A
me the big bucks.
vacation.
I've worked so
She said
hard.
She said a lot of really white people problems, and I just tuned.
Oh,
You
right.
I remember
Yes.
you distinctly said when we were watching this, everything she's saying just sounds like a Cosmo headline.
Yes, I do remember feeling that way because it was so weird. It was like,
Did you know that when women get stressed, they look older? I'm like, cool.
and then she was like, I want to read a book, like really, just read a book, front to back, a real book,
I want
not
to
just
eat.
a magazine.
I want to eat carbs and not want to end game. I'm like, whoa, all right, 2005. That's not fun to say.
Also,
It was very.
let's be honest, you've never read a magazine from cover to cover.
No,
Yeah.
you just flip through it. You look at the pictures.
Yeah.
You find the recipes.
You find out how they're just like us.
I already know how to get rid of menstrual cramps. Thank you. Cruel Intentions.
She's
We
worked-
should watch that.
Yeah. So she's worked for 5 minutes and she's like, look, I need to get away. And then he's like, I thought this was our busiest time of year. She like doesn't even address that.
Yeah.
Like, are they still working on stuff while
I
she's
guess.
gone? Are they gonna do this remotely? Like, the reason you get paid the big bucks, as you so put it, Cameron Diaz, is because people expect a lot of things from you. And if apparently, although like that's weird, I don't really, is Christmas really? That's
I
when we
was gonna
start
say,
making trailers for
In case we
movies?
didn't establish this or make it clear enough earlier, this movie takes place over the Christmas holiday, so leading
Which
up to Christmas
doesn't-
and then Christmas. Which isn't a big part of the plot. They
Yeah.
mention it every now and then, but there's not even like Christmas music playing or like Christmas trees anywhere. And I forgot a few times that it was supposed to be around Christmas time.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, but either way, she needs a vacation. So she finds this nice little cottage.
Miss Honey from
And she
Matilda's
talks with-
cottage.
She talks to Kate Winslet. There's no men. Okay, great. Lovely. Love it. Wonderful. And she gets on her first class airplane, and I was like, you know, honestly, like, economy is awful. But that was too luxurious for my taste.
She was like fully
I
reclined,
wish there was like a
8
little
different
middle
pillows.
ground.
Like she could have been sitting
Like-
in business class, but she had to be in
I don't know.
first
She was
class.
flying. She was flying to a different country.
So was Kate Winslet, and she was stuck between the two grandmas the whole time.
Yeah, but she doesn't have any money.
Well,
You know, one time though, like when we went to New York, it wasn't economy, it wasn't business class. It was this little thing in the middle where you get more leg room. That was basically it. And honestly, that was pretty great.
Okay, but do you really need more legroom? I feel
Yeah.
like you would have plenty.
we could
Do your
put
feet
you
even
like
touch the ground?
we could put you
They
in the
don't, but
overhead
I like
compartment,
that.
and you would have plenty of space.
She says they don't.
Shut up! But there was more room to let my legs wiggle.
Aw,
Just like a
Yeah.
little baby, like wee.
there's a little kid. Bring those legs, Zax.
Shut up,
You're like-
everybody. I feel attacked.
You're kicking the person in front of you. You're kicking the back of their chair. They're like, oh my god, this little person behind me, and they turn around, and it's a grown lady. Hey, nice to meet you.
Anyway, she was in this little cocoon.
Wrapped up
And
like
that's
a
what we
newborn
see.
baby.
And that's when we see her first trailer
Stupid
thought
trailer gag.
thing. And it was like, she had it all, but when she loses love, what is she going to do? Kind of thing.
Because women are only good when they're in relationships, am I right?
It's that's like, this is just like an annoying, she's got two things. Like, I cannot remember, I meant to look it up before we got into recording, my bad. I don't know what this trope is called, but it's like it's like where you're like, where it's like, it's mostly girl characters, where they're just like wild child and they just like refuse to grow up kind of thing. Like, that's their whole
Manic Pixie Dream Girl.
But it's
grown baby.
Hey, quick editor's note, Zach's here. The trope I was trying to talk about is just called woman child. I don't know why that was so hard for me, but The Take did a really good video on it. It's very informative, and you should check it out. But Cameron Diaz was just kind of doing these movies we talked about. Like, there was like In Her Shoes, it's like where she's just like, I'm wild and fun, but also like really when she's businessy.
Like when she gets to Kate Winslet's cottage, and she's like, I don't know why she was staying up. I guess it was because it's like, oh, the time difference, and she's jet lagged. So she's just like bopping around Kate Winslet's cottage for the whole evening. And she turns on The Killers and is like screaming the song. And we're supposed to be like, oh my god, she's so quirky and funny.
Specifically Mr. Brightside, which I mean, I feel like everyone knows that song, but also...
Yeah.
I don't know.
Which, I mean, that is a song. It's like, it's about cheating.
It could have worked, but I feel like it would have worked better for Kate Winslet's character.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing.
It is her music at that house, though.
Even though... Cameron Diaz can't cry. That's her whole deal. Doesn't mean she doesn't feel emotions, but they didn't portray that. So they weren't ever...
Yeah.
I don't know. She just didn't seem that torn up about the breakup. She was just like, men are trash. Which, like, that's a valid way to handle things.
I don't need any. Whoa.
But then we didn't see her
sexy man?
Her, like, private thoughts where she was like, oh, this is really hard. I'm having a hard time with it. None of that. So I feel like Mr. Brightside was not earned for her character.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. No, I mean, really nothing because, like, it should have just been, like, a dumb, silly, not dumb, but, like, just a silly, fun song. Because, like, the reason she's singing is because she got super drunk alone.
She got wine drunk by herself at like 2 a.m.
So like, and like they could have, if they had done like more with it, maybe that could have been something. If she's like doing like, if she like pretending to have like a mic like she was doing, but then also like Martha Stewart's playing and she like tosses it to Martha. Martha's I'm gonna continue baking this chicken.
Like something. But it was just like, look how funny and quirky she is. She's getting over a breakup. I'm like, okay, next.
It was, and like, so, also, this was clearly made by Americans, because they just, like, kind of dunk on England a little bit, like, she lives in
drive
this
on the other side of the road. Oh, gosh.
She starts swerving the wheel.
I don't understand why... This is weird to drive on the left side equals let me swerve into the other lane.
Yeah, you still need to hold the
endanger
wheel.
People around me.
Like, I'm sure it would be confusing for me because driving is just kind of tricky in general, but I would at least know, like, okay, hold it straight.
Like, is it because the road was narrow? I don't get it.
But... So, there's that. Then there's also when she gets to the place, like, it's, like, this cute thing where, like, the driver's like, so I can't really get there, like, through these hedges and stuff and overgrowth or whatever. And she's like, you're not, well, okay, can you just do it? And then we just see him, like, ditching her on the side of the road. And
she's wearing heels.
Which, like,
she just got off a plane. She was wearing heels. That seems very silly.
Which I don't know why you would wear heels on a plane, especially if you're going on vacation. Like, wear your slippers.
When you put your...
Wear your jammies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You wear jammies to big flights.
You're not going to see anyone you know.
Flights. Like...
That's the whole point of you leaving, so you don't see people you know.
And so she does that, and then she immediately goes and she just buys a bunch, and like the lady's like having a party while she's like drinking. And I don't know, maybe in Europe or at least in England, maybe you can just do that. But I'm like, I don't think you can just do that.
Especially not while you're still in a store. Like, that's...
But like,
you haven't even paid for it yet.
Cool there. You're from America where it's not cool to do that. So like, did you Google if that's cool, or did you just?
She did. He's like, I'm gonna be wasted the whole time. I need to make sure that public intoxication is chill there.
Yeah, but then she had to drive home.
That's true.
She did.
Cameron Diaz sucks in this movie.
This is a bad role model. I didn't even think about like all the stuff she was doing, but yeah, no, bad on her. So, but then enter in. So she's been drinking, and this is something that Bob asked me to spend a lot of time on. One of the things that's about to happen. A very handsome, very British Jude Law knocks on the door.
Jude Law shows up.
And he has been drinking himself.
He's very drunk.
He's very drunk.
But he's not acting sloppy drunk, which if we're supposed to believe that he's like as trashed as he says he is, I'm like, you wouldn't be able to string a sentence together, Bub.
He did not know that his sister had left for some reason, and he did tell her that he was going to pee on her porch if she didn't open the door, so that's kind of sloppy.
And he, like, knocked over a lamp a little bit, but, like, was still talking.
He did the weird
coherently.
thing that's going to come up. Does that happen now?
Yeah, no, that happens now. So they're sitting together, and like, there's a little bit of chemistry because she's like all flustered and nervous, like, "Oh my, I didn't expect a handsome man."
I
thought there were no men here.
Yeah.
Like,
oh my gosh.
Good golly, Jude Law,
My-
your
my
trash
goodness.
drunk is sending me up the river.
And I am stone cold sober right now. Remember that. Remember that, everybody.
And so they sit down and like they sort of just like they do a kiss, kind of.
Oh, I forgot about that.
And then no, again, I don't even know if we can blame it on the alcohol, but like, I'm sorry, I'm 42, but
Dab
That's
49,
so
am I right?
but just kills Bob, I guess. But he okay, now picture this, everybody. If you've ever seen Jude Law, he's on the screen. He's very handsome. Now close your eyes. He's got your
He's no
face
Henry
in his-
Cavill, but you know.
He's got your head in his hands, and he gets closer. He's got your face in his hands, and he comes closer. Now, I know where you think his lips are gonna go, but you're a little too low. He's gonna go up. He's gonna
Not your nose.
not your nose. He's
Keep
gonna
going.
open mouth kiss your eye, and then your other eye. And it's not. You're not gonna be. And you might think, wait, what? But no. If you're Cameron, you're gonna be like,
You would be into it.
She was damn.
That is one of her
Eye
erogenous
nonsense.
zones.
I'm sorry to bring up Alvin and the Chipmunks every time we do a Kind of Friends recording, but this one video that's like, oh, Theodore leaned over and touched her sensitive area, if you know what I mean, and the boys kept making jokes about what place that was.
Oh my gosh.
Her eyes.
So, I do need to interject very quickly and say that, like, at the beginning of our watch party, I said that Cameron Diaz's part, like, reads like a Wattpad story. Like, down to, like, the terrible kissing written by someone who has never kissed someone before.
We've talked extensively before about how weird kissing is in fan fiction or original online stories. This is like, I wouldn't be surprised if this was in someone's story.
Which,
I'm saying it's the director's Christmas present to her 14-year-old daughter. Hey, I'm directing and writing a movie, and I'm down like an hour, so how about I take that Wattpad story you showed me the other weekend, and we put that in the movie. Oh my god, thank you so much, Mom. I can't wait.
And
I'll
we'll-
start converting this to a screenplay.
And we'll cast Cameron Diaz.
my gosh.
Can we pick because she went and the first page of a Wattpad story where it's like, here's the cast list, and then people post stock images of their
my
characters'
gosh.
face claims.
She's like, I wanted Jennifer Lopez.
She wasn't available, so Cameron Diaz will have to do it.
They're not. I don't think
Mom,
they're in
can we
each
get
other's
Henry
lane at
Cavill
all,
to be
even
the
at that
sexy
time.
man? Sorry, honey. Sorry, we can't get him. Will Jude Law work? I guess.
Jeez, is this even
Do
a
we
gift
think
anymore, Mom?
Do we think J-Lo and Henry Cavill would have chemistry?
Honestly, though, J-Lo in her movies does have pretty good chemistry with her people. I think they would hit it off
Except
pretty
for
good.
Ben Affleck, even though they were in a relationship in that movie, it was so
Oh, are you?
awkward
I
and
never
weird.
actually saw Giggly.
It's really weird.
Okay.
It's not good.
Okay. That checks out with what I've heard from everyone else.
Yeah.
So, you're not like other girls. Cameron Diaz was all about that eye action, and they promptly canoodle that night. Well, actually, no, they don't promptly canoodle. She has a long monologue
Oh my
of
god.
nonsense
This monologue.
where she's like, oh, we can't,
I'm not good at this. And he's like, haha, I doubt that. And then she's like, no, for real. I've been told that I'm super bad at it. And a girl doesn't forget that, even me. What the hell does
What
that
does that
mean?
mean?
You're not like other girls, I get it. But
even, I can't, there are very few people who respond well to not being good at, anything. I can't draw, but if someone was like, you're really not good at drawing, I'd remember that. I'd remember that
Yeah.
person who felt the need to let me know that. But here's
This
the one
weird-
thing, too. This was weird. This movie, which, I highly recommend. It's currently free with ads on YouTube. You should watch it. It's very good for as far as LGBT couples go. It's just, I love this movie a lot. It's called But I'm a Cheerleader. Anyway,
Yay.
there's this scene where, because it's a comedy, they have to go to conversion therapy, and it basically talks about why that's a horrible system that doesn't work. I'll just say that. But there's this scene where they have to learn how straight people do it, and the teacher says, one of the people asked, wait, what about foreplay? And she's like, no, you sissy, it's in and out and you're done like a man. Or something. Which I was I watched that. And I was like,
you think people don't think that.
but then you watch The Holiday. And
And
Cameron
Jude Law
Diaz
goes, well, Jude Law says, how do you feel about full play? And Cameron Diaz goes, I think it's super overrated. No!
And most people would be
That's
like,
the best part.
and most people would be like, what? But he goes, humana, humana, hooga, wooga.
He says,
He goes-
"It's getting better and better."
At that point, I would just leave.
Bye.
Which
Sorry, I'd rather drive home at this state.
it was also weird too, because what was that eye kiss if not foreplay? Now,
What was all of that? Everything that was happening in the scene was foreplay. I'm sorry, it's your video.
This featuring Bob.
It just really made me mad. I only saw that one scene. And
It impacted
he's
you so much.
oh, I hate foreplay. That's all you were doing.
What is this then? What's this then? Again, I'm sorry to keep bringing up Alfred and the Chipmunks, but it's that one story where it's like, all right, now we can have sex. What was all of that before?
Yeah, now we can get to the real part.
Maybe that's what they mean, is anything that's not PIV.
In and out.
Yeah, like anything else is foreplay. Except for kissing. That's just kissing.
Yeah. It's so stupid. This is such a Wattpad story.
It's so, yeah, like, honestly, just, like, in general, like...
Is this how straight women think?
I'm
like, sorry for straight women, then.
None of us can answer, so... Please.
Dear straight women
I can.
that are watching this video.
Oh, Bob is a straight woman, apparently.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, I don't know, just, like... I mean, I don't know, this is, like, a real queer channel.
We're just all super gay.
That's, our tagline. Kind of Friends, the
Yeah.
queer channel.
Yeah.
We keep coming
We need
up
to
with
do
real
something for
good
Pride
work.
this
One
year,
day
then.
we'll whip it out.
The queer channel, Kind of Friends, that'll go on our Teesprings right next to the M prank shirts.
Maybe that'll be the pairing set. Like, you can't get one without the other.
God. That's awful.
We know where we stand. Okay. So they have this weird rendezvous, and then the next morning it's like awkward because it's like, oh my god, I can't believe we did
one more
that.
thing. One more thing.
Oh, yeah.
So he comes in super trashed, right?
Mm-hmm,
She had been drinking earlier that day, but she went to sleep and woke up sober. I don't think this is okay, what happened.
That's true, but put a pin in that. We will discuss that in more detail a little bit later. So, the next morning, it's like kind of awkward, and it's like, oh
She
my gosh,
doesn't
I
know
can't
how to
believe we
use
just
the
did
coffee
that.
machine.
But then he gets a call. I believe it's from...
It's either Olivia or Sophia. It doesn't matter who it's from.
I was
It's from
gonna
one
say,
of those two.
Yeah, it's one of those two. But he's like, ooh, just keep
I
in mind
gotta
later.
take this.
And then she's like, oh. And then it just
She
kind of
spies
leaves
on
it
him.
there.
Yeah.
She watches him and she's like, oh, wait, but, like, I shouldn't be doing this. Like, she's like, and it's like, yeah, like, I guess not. But, like, it's weird, too, because it's like, if she was just, like, getting mad at him, then it's like, whoa, you need to step back, lady. That's not, you're crossing lines here. But, like, you can't help feeling what you feel. And so in that moment, it was like, I kind of got a crush on this Jude Law guy. Oh, he's talking to other girls. Like, oh, that's kind of, like, that, you're entitled to feel that way.
Yeah.
That's not even a crime. But it's like, it's weird too because they know, because like her whole
That's not even a crime.
her whole arc is like her inability to feel.
Her
But,
arc
like,
is barely an arc. It's like a slightly bent line.
Yeah. Well, her, whatever you want to call it, her, what she does in this movie is learn how to feel. But, like, I think the problem is that you openly shame yourself for, like, the slightest emotion. That's not something that gets addressed, really. She has a lot of unhealthy habits that we're just, like, cool. That's part of what makes her her.
When we find out the reason for why she can't cry, it would have been much more interesting if we went with Zach's idea. I'm having trouble with that sound. We went with Zach's idea and explored why she has all of these other emotional dilemmas and issues other than just not being able to cry.
Yeah,
But that's not what they did.
So,
That's not what they put in the Wattpad story, so...
well, like, I don't know why, like, Wattpad and this, except for Kate Winslet's half, which is why this gets a 50% on Rotten Tomatoes.
And from Kind of Friends.
Yeah.
Yeah. But just a lot of, like, the protagonists, it's like they have these weird hang-ups, but it's like, I don't know, it's just weird. Like, they can't grow. Like, when we did the kissing booth, Elle has her weird nonsense going on. And, like, by the end of it, she doesn't really grow or change in
No.
any way. Things just go her way, and that's kind of
Is
what
it-
happens for Cameron too.
Twilight.
Yeah.
Is it insensitive to say that Cameron Diaz, or Amanda as her character is named, we're pulling a Demi Moore again and not using the
Welcome
characters'
to
names?
Deep Dish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it
Earlier, you
insensitive?
called him Jim Halpert.
Yeah. You are not your character. You are your
This
actor.
is how people talk
But,
about
like-
movies. People who
Yeah.
are not
Yeah.
critics. This is how they talk about movies.
So Jim from The Office shows up, and he does the face.
He does
It is
do the
everybody.
face.
He does
did.
the face.
He did the face.
But, like, so is it insensitive to say that, like, Amanda's, like, issue with, like, oh, I can't cry because when I was 15, my dad left. You're, like, 30 now. Is it insensitive to say, get over it?
I don't think so.
Because,
It's
like, maybe she's seen her dad again, and he just, like, left the house.
It's weird too
Because she doesn't
like,
she didn't say, like, oh, and then I never saw him again. It's just your dad moved out. They got a
it's
divorce.
weird. Yeah, it's weird too because like now I mean I guess good on them for like not doing what everybody else does, but what I've seen more commonly, like not to like get too deep because it's not that serious, but like my parents don't have like a great marriage and they're like figuring out their deal right now, but it's like been a long time coming is one of those like stay together for the kids situations, whatever.
Yeah.
But like I grew up with that still, and it wasn't that I didn't know how to feel anymore. It was more just like I don't know how much I feel about the institution of marriage as a whole because there's like a lot tied up in that. That's
You
like
say that as you got married.
well, yeah, I got over it, and like I'm younger than she is in that movie.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying, like normally, if your parent, like if now, I guess it's like I just don't know why being abandoned would make you never feel again. I mean, I guess you'd be hesitant to like open up to people.
Everyone processes.
She says, like, oh, I cried, and then I never cried after that. I'm like, really? You cried a lot, and then after that, you're like, all right, I'm done.
That's
For
all I needed.
15 plus years. Like,
Yeah.
I had something awful, terrible happen. There was a death in my family, like, around this time, and, like, for months, I'd, like, be like, okay, I'm fine right now, and then I'd think about it, and I'd just be bawling for hours. And, like, I have cried many times after that point, so I'm like, this is a dumb argument. This is not a good reason.
I think everybody processes things differently, and if
Yeah,
that's,
absolutely.
if that's what they want to go with in this story, fine. But don't make it just that she can't cry, because like it's such a linear train of thought when things are much more complicated than that. That it's like you know what, and we talked about this during the movie. You seem like you did most of the legwork for this issue. Like, you act like you don't know why you can't cry, or like it's a big deal that you can't cry, or can't, or don't want to, whatever it is. But then, you know why. Now you can work on that with someone, a professional probably, and work through it. If you really do want to cry, if you're fine, if the only reason you want to cry is because your stupid ex-boyfriend that you were fighting with said that you have an issue because you can't cry, that's a dumb reason. If you want to cry because you want to get in touch with your emotions or whatever, fine. But
you know what? She's a businesswoman. You can't be a businesswoman and emote.
I mean, that's the thing too. Like, yeah, but like, I totally agree with like, what you're saying. Everyone processes things differently, but because like it really, the way that they portray it, it really feels like the issue is that like her tear ducts are broken.
Yeah,
my
she's
cry
like,
box
there's a
broke.
point where she's like, she's trying to make herself cry, and she's like doing all these stupid faces, and then she's like, not even one. I'm like, shut up, please.
Yeah, like, I mean, I'm the type of person where like I'll get teary-eyed at like shows. We just watched the episode of the Avatar Bossing Say, and we got to Ira's part, and I like got watery-eyed because like, yeah,
It's sad.
but at the same time though, like the last like big cry where I was like sobbing was from like a nightmare I had a few years ago. But like I don't think that like and I don't have nightmares a lot, so it was like a whole thing. But like that, I never really was like, that's something I'm like crying at the wrong stuff or I need to work on that. Everyone's different, you know. My roomie, she doesn't really cry at all. And, like, stuff like, I wonder, I have to talk to her about this movie, because I bet it would really annoy her. Because people have actually said to her, like, similar things like that, like, oh my gosh. Like, they weren't aware that she doesn't really cry that much, but they've said things like, if you didn't cry at this thing, you're a heartless monster. It's like, that's
not a very nice thing to say.
Yeah, and it's like one of those things where it's just like, you don't know everybody's deal. You should just like be more thoughtful. But anyway.
Don't judge people for what they do or don't cry at. Sometimes I see a video of cows on Instagram being cute and I'll start bawling just because it's cute.
Yeah. Okay, but back to get
I cry at Animal Crossing.
Okay. To get this back on track a little bit.
Yeah.
We can kind of, this is, what's so sad about this arc is it really can be wrapped up pretty quickly. So they start basically dating. And it's like, oh, we're not going to do that again, but then they definitely do that again kind of thing. And it's like, but you're going to be in America and I'm going to still be here. We got to stop, but we can't stop, won't stop. Then he gets another call and then she's like, oh, Sophia. I keep wanting to say Gracie. Sophia. Okay. Sophia.
This one's for the boys.
She says, Sophia, Olivia, Amanda, popular guy. Yeah, busy guy. And then
he's a womanizer. Oh my goodness.
And then, which I'm like, okay, that's a little shameful. Oh, but here's something that happened in the middle of this. So she goes to like this restaurant. He's with some friends and he sees her and he ditches his friends for the night and hangs out with her, which is like cool because like that's fine. That's like that's not even weird or like she's taking him away from his friends. But she gets super drunk, and the next morning she comes out and he's there, and she's like, we didn't. And he's like, no.
She sees her bra on the floor and she's like, oh my goodness. And he was like, that wasn't because so of embarrassing. Me. And she goes, I know, but you're here. Like, oh, you saw it. I'm like, you guys have already had sex. Why?
You've already done this. Like, why are we doing this weird?
Yeah.
Why are we doing this?
Like, those sorts of scenes are, like, barely cute in relationships that haven't even gotten going yet. But it's really not cute when it's, like, not, like, obviously this is a dumb thing and I don't actually believe this, but, like, he already saw the cow.
Zach, I'm gonna need you to say that sentence again, but not the way you said it. Like, you could have said, like, he already, like, saw the merchandise or, like, saw the goodies.
I mean, you
don't need to, like, he already saw the cow.
Right?
He had a cup of moo juice already.
Oh,
ew. Zach's.
She had a cup of moo juice.
Okay, both of you. Jesus Christ. Bob, I know you're still here. I need you to not say anything.
Ladies, that was horrible. Be dead.
Found our cold open.
Yeah, I think so. Actually, that will probably be it.
So she's like, oh my god, my bra, that's so embarrassing. Like, he's already seen you naked.
Yeah.
Move and you're on. An adult. Like, he's seen bras. He's 30-year-old man.
Yeah. Yeah, like, also, there have been times where, like, I've just, like, been, like, hanging out with friends, like, fully clothed, obviously, but, like, it's, like, late, it's gonna be, like, a sleepover kind of hangout sort of deal.
Yeah.
And I'll just, like, take my bra off, not in front of them, usually I'll go away, but I'll be braless the rest of the evening.
Yeah. You, like, take it off while you still have your shirt on.
Yeah. Like,
pull it off the sleeve.
Yeah.
That
So
fun
it's
trick.
like- yeah. So it's not that it's not that embarrassing. Like just like you can't wear a bra all the time. Gotta take it off sometime.
Gotta
But
let
anyway-
him free.
So she does that whole, we didn't, did we?
And he's like, no. And she's
Nah.
like, oh, phew, good. I'm like, that's rude. And she's like, but why though? And he's like, because you were like sloppy drunk and you passed out. She's like, oh my god. Oh, that's so. She said like, oh, that must have been really attractive. Like, ma'am. Ma'am.
That's something weird too. So basically, they do this whole thing. Like,
Oh, he's such a
good
gentleman because he
guy.
didn't
Yeah, he's
sleep
such a
with her
gentleman.
while she was drunk and unconscious.
Yeah, that took me a second. My brain broke. But,
That's okay. Welcome to Kind of Friends.
Welcome
Yeah.
to Deep Dish.
yeah.
Yeah.
So it makes him such a good guy. But, like, Cameron, if you don't recall, he was a vulnerable man who just needed to use the loo. And you stole some eye kisses.
And you like fully like did the deed with him while he was super drunk. I don't think this is okay. This
I'm
is
like-
quite gross.
Yeah, and like, I don't think, and like, okay, if we're gonna ignore it in the first scene, we can't have this scene. And if we're gonna have this scene, we can't have that last, like, there's one drunken canoodle, or one drunken no canoodle. But you can't have all the pies.
You can't acknowledge
hug
that
every
like,
cat.
oh, this is so
Yeah,
cute.
oh man, I missed it again! Oh.
You were so
Oh
close.
my
Zach.
god.
I didn't even think of it. It's such a good catchphrase, too.
Oh my god.
I love the thought of everyone just stealing your catchphrase and you never get to have it.
I really won't. It's awful. But I don't
Remember
think
to
this
like,
has ever
comment,
happened.
subscribe because we all need friends. Haha.
Bad.
Gets kicked off the channel.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So they have.
So they
Bummed
acknowledge
about that.
So they acknowledge that like what happened was like, oh, he like didn't take advantage of her. That's great, even though that's literally what she did the night before.
Yeah. But that's fine. So they continue like dating. They go to dinner, and it was such a boring dinner.
They did a montage, and I made a joke while we were watching it that the music that's playing sounds like Wii music, like when you're in the Mii Plaza. Where you're playing Tamagotchi Life, it's that type of music, and it's Hans Zimmerman who did the score. So
and the
he
rest
phoned-
of the soundtrack is really good. He was just
It's
like,
so
I don't
good.
care about these.
I'm phoning it in for this scene.
Yeah, because like
Let
with
me
his-
just use the xylophone. Now I'm gonna use that like a sitar. It's gonna be so fun. I'll just use these instruments that are lying around my studio.
And it's like really intense because like with the rest of the soundtrack, like with Kate Winslet's half, and like even some of the Cam stuff, it's like it feels like I don't know his process, but it feels like he was just like, yes, these scenes just evoke such feelings from me. Here is how it made me feel. Here you go. Kind of magical musical deal. But then for this, like, the scenes when, like, they're supposed to be really, Jude Law and Cameron Diaz are really supposed to be getting into the thick of things, it's just like, okay, I guess you just didn't really, like, you didn't earn any of that.
Yeah. She earns none of the like beautiful music that Hans Zimmerman put together.
Yeah.
It's Hans Zimmer.
Didn't I? Oh, have I been saying Zimmer? I'm square brain. Carina has a square brain.
I wasn't sure. So I was just gonna let it happen.
I'm gonna need you to like every time I say his name, just cut it before I say the man, so I don't sound like an idiot.
I'll try to cut out Bob intervening so it'll make sense.
Don't even at this point. It's just it's too much work.
Okay, so then let's just like we can just sort of wrap up
Start
their story
wrapping
a
it
little
up.
bit.
Okay, so
he-
I do want
Oh.
to point out that you keep on saying dating, and that makes it sound like it was way more involved in things that were more than physical. We saw them on like 1.5 dates, actual dates,
That-
and then the rest of the time they were together, they were being physical,
Sleeping
Which
together.
I'm not saying,
Yeah, no, that.
I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. It's just
Yeah.
an interesting.
That's not dating.
Well, it could be.
That's hooking up with someone.
It could be someone's form of dating, but
Yeah.
I just think that's an interesting place for the movie to go when her arc is supposed to be emotional growth. And, like, yeah. I
And
don't
it's just her
Not-
getting
not saying that
getting boned down on by Jude Law.
not saying that you
Yeah,
can't
that's
have
the-
emotional growth and also be physical, but we didn't get to see any of the scenes that could have been growth.
Yeah, it is good you brought that up because I do want to talk about the nature of their relationship being really physical in a little bit too. So, finally she has this talk with him where she's like, gosh, I like you so much, but it's like wrong because like I'm gonna go to LA and like how would this ever work? Blah,
Oh,
blah.
before that happens though, she shows up at his house unexpectedly.
Oh yeah, that
Oh
was
no,
And
this
she's
is,
like-
doesn't this lead into that?
Oh yeah, you're right. Cause she like, he drives her home, and then
Yeah.
he's like, okay, see ya. And she's like, all right, I'm gonna get out. And he's like, oh, you don't want me to like walk you up to the house? And she's like, goes on this weird tangent about like, oh, like we're making it super complicated, and then kisses him and makes it more complicated.
like, I don't
And then
like
she shows
hate
up at
that
his.
so much. Yeah, like we can't be together. What?
Sex.
It was weird too because like eventually she gets out of the car and she goes back in, but I would think
And
it
they
would
look-
be
and they look back.
cuter. Like maybe not, but in my head it would be cuter if like when she's leaving, Jude Law is like smiling at her and he's just kind of like, "Wait, did we break up or not?" Like what just happened?
Just like this quizzical look, and then drives off.
if there
And
was
then
just
she like gets into the cottage. She's like, oh man, and then shows up at his house.
Speaking of kind of friends rule 0, just talk it out so that
Right.
we're clear about what our relationship status is instead of just going, it's complicated, hee hee, kiss, leave.
Yeah.
My advice to people, if you are having a very physical relationship with somebody, is make sure you establish with your partner that you're involved with, make sure you establish what the relationship is or what it's going to be.
right.
Because maybe one of you just wants a physical relationship, but maybe the other one wants companionship and emotional relationship too.
I feel like we're starting to unpack some stuff, and I'm relating to it, and that seems like it's more for Kate Winslet's part.
Yeah. So
Okay.
we'll leave that. We'll put a pin in that too. Putting a pin in all the things. Then, so she goes to his door, and now remember he kept getting calls. He's this big ladies' man. Turns out, oh wait, no.
I'm a
He's
single
a-
dad.
Yeah, and like you might be wondering,
How
wait,
we got here.
what? Or you might
Yeah.
be wondering, wait, where were the kids when he was like just kicking it at Cam's house all the time and getting real drunk? What?
And
Is he even a good dad?
Should he have
yes, he
custody?
is, because he is a good dad because he makes them hot chocolate and does Mr. Napkin Head at the dinner table.
Yes.
And he just ships them off to his parents whenever he wants to have some daddy time.
See, that's what he did in court, in his court custody. I guess it wasn't custody, but
Because yeah, it was more like in the so he's a widower, his wife passed away, super sad. In her last will and testament, you know how in in Safe Haven, she's like she writes a letter to what's her name, and it's like, oh, to the woman who my husband loves, and it's basically like, I want him to be happy and you have to take care of like all of us. But instead of that, it was, I want you to drop the kids off at my parents' house whenever you want to bone down on someone.
Yeah, well, that's good. And
should watch Safe Haven. It's one of the better Nicholas Sparks movies.
Oh, that's good. There was this one, oh gosh, what was it called? It was James Marsden. They got together when they were teens, but then he went to jail, and they were still in love, and it was like, no.
I think that's just James Marsden's real life.
Okay, so
I don't even remember what James Marsden looks like. Which one is he?
He's the one made famous by the Sonic the Hedgehog movie.
Oh!
That was what he was made famous by.
Yeah. That's
He's in 27 Dresses. And he's in Enchanted. He's the prince in Enchanted.
Yes, I loved Enchanted.
I love Enchanted.
Movie.
Put that on the list of movies to watch and check that off your bingo boards.
I also
planning
haven't seen
future
that movie.
episodes.
Oh
Well,
my god.
You've never seen Enchanted? It's so fun.
No. I know. I've heard music from it, and I'm like, why did I never see this?
It's such a fun movie.
It's very cute, and it's like when Disney was starting to be like, we're gonna be self-aware, lol, everyone, we're in on it, and it was like, okay, go off, Disney. Anyway, okay, so this is something weird too, because okay, and this doesn't really come up later, so I'll just bring it up now. Once they all get together for New Year's at the end, Kate Winslet, who is these girls' aunts, interacts with these girls again, and in less than 5 seconds she has 10 times more chemistry than Cameron Diaz has with these girls, and that's part of her whole story.
It's like, oh, the girls love you. Do they? Because Cameron Diaz was super awkward around those kids.
Honestly, that's one thing we were talking about when we watched it too. Just Jude Law and Cameron Diaz were kind of awkward with each other, period. They just didn't really have good on-screen chemistry. I'm not saying anything about them, but if there was this article that came out where it was like, you never believe you didn't like each other, I would have believed it.
Jude Law was like, I hated Cameron Diaz. I would have believed it.
And she was like, I hated him.
Yeah.
So then, they interact. They have this nice, cute, girls have, a little fort. They do that, and he just does,
I want to talk about this. I want to talk about this one part in the fort, though. So, Cameron Diaz and one of the girls, they're, snuggled up next to each other. And one of the little girls is like, oh, I like your eyeshadow, and I like your lip gloss. And she's like, oh, thanks. And, I guess, what she was trying to do was, she's like, oh, kiss my finger so I could put the lip gloss on. But the Cameron Diaz, kisses the little girl's finger, and then the little girl just puts her finger straight in her mouth.
Yeah.
No, you're supposed to, rub it on your lips, not eat it.
What is Jude teaching his kids? He does eye kisses, they just eat lip gloss. What's happening in this whole household?
I don't know. They don't. I think they're aliens.
That'd be cute. That'd be a fun little... That'd be a weird turn for this movie to take, because it's very slice of life, but honestly, it'd be welcome. I'm here for it. Let's normalize
in The Sims 2, in The Sims 2, there's just that family where it's like, yeah, half of us are aliens.
Okay. So... basically, their whole thing is, oh my gosh, I have to go back home sometime. I have a job and a career. How can we ever be together?
I don't cry. I'm bad at love.
But then
my 3 personality traits.
It comes time for her to leave, and they have this sad goodbye. And she's like, "We're just gonna do it, but it's gonna be we're gonna kiss and go goodbye like we have before." This is one thing that they don't really talk about, but long distance is very hard for couples in general. Sometimes it's doable, but it's very difficult. And their relationship, her love language isn't physical touch or whatever. So
what is her love language?
And his love language is eye kisses.
Yeah. But what's her love language? Because I couldn't pick it up. I couldn't pick it up at all.
I feel like honestly, I feel like it'd be acts of service or something. Not that that's bad.
What do we think her sign
is?
is?
So judgy. Hers
What's
is
her sign?
acts of service.
I feel like she's a Leo. A really aggressive Leo.
No offense if you're a Leo. Leos are great.
Coming back to this, so she well, I guess that just shows how much we don't care about this resolution.
Cameron
We're
Diaz's
almost
part,
done,
yeah.
and that's when we decide to stray. We were on track for a while.
Even though we've talked about this for so long already.
Yeah.
There's still another movie to talk about.
So they go to, so she gets in the car and they're driving away, and then she starts crying because she misses Jude Law so much already. And she's like,
The audience
wait.
is like, she's crying.
It
And
happens.
she's-
It's her art.
And she's so happy. She's touching her face. She's like, what is this?
And
It's
then
very much the scene
movie-
from Life Size.
Yeah.
Yes.
But then the stupid movie trailer narrator guy is like, "Oh, Amanda, you're back." I'm like, "Go away. Read the room. Read the room, please."
Also, does that mean she hasn't been back since she was 15?
I guess.
I don't know.
You haven't grown since you were 15? Ew.
But also, the first trailer, the guy was like, she had it all. This
She
and this.
had it all. The job, the house, the man.
And it's weird. Like, the trailer guy isn't even consistent. So,
Yeah.
like, who am I gonna believe? But then she, like, runs back. And, like, this
In her
could've
heels.
been- okay, hot take. This could have been a fun time for trailer guy to come back. Because she's, like, literally running home in heels back to Jude Law. And
She
if he
stops
was
to
like,
take breaks to catch her breath, and that was
And the
the
trailer
only
guy is
relatable
like-
part from Cameron Diaz's part.
And then trailer guy is just like, you're almost there. Shut up. I'm on my way. This is hard.
Like, she's like hunched over, like, hold on. Just go away. I got this.
When the distance was only so close to her reach. But, so then, yeah, okay, so then she gets there and she runs into his arms and she kisses him and she's like, I just realized, it's so crazy. Why wouldn't I just stay for New Year's? And I'm like, okay, but like...
We all went like, when we were watching this.
It's like, but you're just prolonging the inevitable. You're gonna have to go home sometime.
Well, why would I go home before Labor Day?
Yeah, like, there's just so many holidays. Like, oh my gosh, and then
Valentine's Day, obviously, have to stay.
St.
Yeah.
Patty's Day, we both drink.
Yeah.
Earth Day, we're on this planet.
I'm trying to think what's a stupid holiday. Groundhog Day.
Groundhog.
I'm sorry if Groundhog Day's...
Valentine's Day.
Yeah. I'm sorry if Groundhog Day is your favorite holiday. Actually, no. If your favorite holiday is Groundhog Day, you need to reassess your
How
life.
about Arbor Day?
I don't even know what Arbor Day is.
It's the day where you plant trees. Maybe that's an American
Oh, okay.
thing.
That's...
I guess isn't Arbor Day Earth Day? Isn't that the same thing?
I don't know.
I don't
It
know.
was called Arbor Day when I was in school.
I think there's just so many problems with the world.
That they're like, let's just make it Earth Day.
They're like, we need
I don't know,
more
we'll
than just trees.
Yeah. We'll fact check this and maybe put it up on screen.
Oh yeah, okay, so National Arbor Day is the last Friday in April, and Earth Day is April 22nd.
Oh, okay.
And Arbor Day is a holiday in which individuals and groups are encouraged to plant trees.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so that's good. Go off,
nice.
world.
Yeah.
Okay. So that wraps up Cameron Diaz's plot. Now we can get onto the good to end this year off with a bang. Let's talk about Kate Winslet's half of the movie.
Oh, that's so good.
It stole the movie for me. So we start off with her. She works at a newspaper, and it's their
Telegram,
holiday
I think.
part. What?
I think it's the Telegram. I think that's the newspaper she works at.
Oh, okay. I thought she said like she worked for like the Telegram instead of the newspaper, and I was like, what?
It's a time travel story. It's like Julie and Julia.
I'm like, oh no. Okay. Right. So she works for a newspaper called the Telegram, and she's having fun at the office party. She's talking with her friend, and we get so much of her character right away. We know that she's like the sweet little lady that everybody likes, but also the sweet little lady that everybody walks all over. Because it's the Christmas office party. She's talking with her friend, and this woman comes up and like, did you do this thing already? And she's like, oh, no, sorry, let me get to that right away. It's like...
It's the Christmas party. But also, like, if you forgot to submit your thing, Wazowski, go file your paperwork.
Yeah. So like we just get so much into her, like she is not even really like fazed by that, like. So
what's happened is she like sees this like old flame who's like not really an old flame because she still has feelings for him. And they've been like, at the Christmas party.
And they've been on for 3 years. He's just also been seeing this other woman.
Yeah. Well, like they were dating for 3 years. And then she found out that he had been cheating on her. And she was like, oh my god, like, so torn up over it. But then, like, instead of, like, cutting him out of her life, she, like, kept talking to him and, like, tried to keep an amicable relationship. Which, oof, that hurts. And
yeah.
You'll notice, like, throughout our commentary on this video, there's gonna be a lot of oof relatable moments.
Yeah, we all like really like high key identify.
Yeah, which like we'll talk about why that's good in a bit. But so she's like, "Oh, I'm still in love with him," and her friend is like, "That is the most pathetic thing I have ever heard. You need to get over him. You need to know your worth. You need to like understand that you're Kate Winslet and move on from this no upper lip man."
Yeah, and that was one thing too, like, but then, like, even though, like, that's one thing why this is so much better than Cameron Diaz's scene, because when we meet Jasper, like...
This one's not a Confederate.
Yeah. Thanks, Twilight. Such a weird thing to include. Anyway, back to Kate Winslet.
He's a rich character. That makes characters rich.
Mm-hmm. So when we meet him, we're immediately like we already heard like you're pathetic for loving this man, but like we get why she does, because like yes, he has no upper lip, yes, he's literal garbage, but he's also
he has no bottom lip.
It's not even so much he's a smooth talker, it's just like he knows how to play Kate Winslet.
Mm-hmm.
Like
he's very charming.
Yeah. And it feels like, and it's like, okay, I definitely see, like, why you're having a problem. Because, like, she's a very, like, quiet, nice lady. And he, like, he didn't get her a gift. She got him a First Addiction book. And he's like, what? Wow, how'd you get this? And she's like, it's from that place that we used to like. Like, it was a, like, super... thoughtful gift, way more thoughtful than he ever deserved.
That's relatable.
Yeah.
Ooh.
That's like,
oh, ow.
Ding.
Like, yeah, I feel like, I don't know, maybe this is a hot take, but is it good advice to just, like, if you're in that situation where they're like, I didn't get you something and your thing is way more thoughtful, chuck it in the garbage, be like, I forgot too.
Yeah, just throw it over.
Keep it.
As they're in the room, dump it in the trash, like, yeah, I forgot your gift too, sorry.
In this particular situation, though, like, that's so hard, because you're like, I mean, Kate Winslet says it later, but...
Yeah.
You have convinced yourself that this person is, like, people
good.
tell you that he's garbage, but you've convinced yourself, but no, he's fine. Like, you don't really know him like I do.
Like I know him.
Yeah.
And when it's good, it is like that, and it gives you a glimmer of hope, but then when it's bad, that's all you can tell yourself. So I think that's why in that situation.
That's one thing. You're right. I think it's just weird. Like, this is one thing why it's just so weird that this is with Cameron Diaz's thing, because Kate Winslet, like, we're going to keep talking about it, but it's such a good example about, like, figuring out you're in some... It's like, and it doesn't even... And her story is so relatable because it really doesn't even... It's not even, like, exclusive to romantic relationship.
Right.
It's just, like, we've all probably... Maybe not everybody, but... I guess maybe if you've
I hope
been
not
that friend,
everybody.
but like everybody I feel like has been walked over by somebody before and had to like learn to stand up for themselves. Maybe not everybody, but a lot of people have, not just in a romantic relationship. But it's just such a good, like, her whole story, like, first of all, she's a dynamic person. Like, she has interests, that we find out more on, like, her vacation. Like, we really get to know her, but, like, with Cameron Diaz, we don't really get to know her, or Jude Law, or the little girls, or anything about them. But
You look like my Barbie. That's like that's the characterization we get with them. They have Barbies and they build tents in
And
their
they
courtroom.
love their dad.
Yeah, and Mr.
Okay.
Napkinhead. That is like
Oh
comedy
my-
gold for them.
oh my
That's
gosh,
comedy
I've
gold
never
for
seen
me.
Yeah.
a
Jude Law definitely like did that on set once because his kids were there and the director's like, we're putting this in the movie.
in.
It was very cute and very silly. I did like Mr. Napkinhead. I also just like the awkward ending of it because he like pretends to smoke with a spoon and then he's like, smoking's bad.
Smoking's really bad for you.
Bye.
And the girls are like, yay. Both of the girls sound like Peppa Pig.
Yeah, I wouldn't like I don't know the like timing, but I wouldn't be surprised if one of them was the voice actress for Peppa
That'd
Pig.
be so funny.
Because one of the girls looks familiar, but I do feel like she's been in multiple things as a child actress.
Yeah.
So, like, I'm not just saying, like, all British people sound the same. I just think,
Yeah, all British people sound like Peppa Pig. This includes Alex Pettyfer. Someone edit an episode of Peppa Pig, but it's just quotes from their movies.
Mark that off your bingo board, please, Alex Pettyfer.
Sorry, I'm just thinking of Peppa Pig. You know, that, like, the thing when she's on the phone, she's like, I can't whistle. And, like, she answers the phone, and it's, like, Susie's on the other end. But instead of her being like, hello, Susie, it's like, don't touch Roach, click.
Okay, so they have this little moment in the office, and it's kind of like, oh, maybe they're gonna start back up again. I don't know, because it's definitely reads like in another, like if this was the end of a different movie, this would be when Jasper realizes, like, oh, Kate Winslet got me such a thoughtful gift. Obviously, she's the one I'm supposed to be with.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of thing. But this
Yeah.
is the beginning of the movie, so obviously it turns out he's announcing his engagement to another woman.
Obviously.
Who works in the office. And then what's even worse is that their boss is like, oh yeah, so Iris is her name. They're like, oh, Iris, you can like report on this in the paper, right? And she's like, yeah, of course. This is fine. Everything's fine.
Oh my gosh, that was like so like, and then
It hurt.
she goes home, she like bundles up, and we're just like,
And she
I mean,
cries.
you want to
She
give her
cries
like
in
a
her house.
hug.
She goes
And
home to her dog, who's like all scrappy boy, and he's happy to see her, but she's crying.
It's so like, yes, and it's like that's not even a dig at Cameron because she didn't like cry because she can't cry or whatever, but it's just like, you don't need to cry to feel, but like Kate Winslet is all
us-
up in her feels right now.
Give us something, though, Cameron.
Give us something.
Yeah.
Do you know what Cameron Diaz? Do you know what Cameron Diaz's entire like plot of the movie is? Yes, girl, I love the lack of energy. Give us nothing.
Yeah, no, that's good. I like that. So she, you know, like we said, so then she gets in touch with Cameron and they decide to do like a house swap. So while Cameron has to slum it in London cottages 40 miles from the way or whatever.
They're in
said.
Surrey.
Yeah.
40 miles from London. I don't know. It's in Surrey. And it'll come up. Surrey will come up again later in a really cute way.
But she gets to go to La La Land. She's gonna live it up in the movie town in this big house and with big lights and groundskeepers and people. And it's like, honestly, low-key kind of like a real-life Disney princess story.
Mm-hmm. She deserves it, honestly.
Like, and that's the thing, like, just with her that's one thing, like, Cam just drinks and gets laid, but, like, Kate Winslet is living her best life. She's sleeping
Yeah.
in, she's watching movies, she's going on walks, she, like we mentioned earlier, but she, like, gets to know all the staff by name, and they all love her, and I'm like, I kind of want the scene where Cam comes back, and they're all like, oh.
Oh, you're back. But, like, it's so cute. Like, she's, like, exploring the house and, like, looking at all the rooms and the stuff, and she's, like, super excited. And you're so happy for her. You're like, oh, yes, look at you. You deserve this break. You deserve this vacation, baby girl. Rest easy.
And, like, where they forced Cameron Diaz to be, like, quirky because she knows the words to Mr. Brightside or whatever.
She's
Kate
like,
Winslet-
oh, cute bathtub. Oh, cute dress in the closet.
Yeah.
Oh,
but,
cute
like,
dog. Like, I don't care. I don't care, Cameron Diaz. Show your feelings. Don't just
like-
tell us. Don't
and-
tell.
And we're doing you a favor because we did split this up with Cam's stuff out of the way. But imagine watching this and being like, yes, Kate, slay, yes. And then like,
immediately, ugh, we're back
Cut away.
here.
Oh, you
we
were
said,
the-
oh,
we
was
said that a few times. We're like, oh, we're back here.
I was like tapping my foot just waiting to get out. Like,
I mean, we definitely reflected more about things during Cam's part.
We talked about Kate Winslet's bit while we were waiting for Cameron's bit to end.
yeah, we had more to digest. So she's so, like, and she's just also, like, a really perceptive person because, like, she's going to befriend this older man who's apparently Cameron Diaz's neighbor and has been this whole time. But it's really
She did nothing
cute.
for him.
Yeah, but it's really cute because the first we see of him, he's on a walk with, like, his caregiver or something. And she just notices them. And she just, like,
She
smiles
smiles.
at him.
It's like,
And
oh,
then-
little old man. So cute.
Yeah, and then she just goes on her way. And then, like, when she notices him again later, she, like, immediately stops for him. And they build this, like, really, like, genuine friendship over the course of, like, they're only there for 2 weeks, right?
Yeah. And I want to talk about, like, how she interacts with him, like, in general, but, like, especially in their meet cute in a little bit. But I think, like, I'll save that for when we actually get to that moment.
Right.
Because before that, we are introduced to Jack Black's character.
Who was so sweet and
Oh my
just,
gosh.
like, he was
This
just...
character is just it for Jack Black.
Yeah, it was so good. Like,
You wouldn't think that, like, him and Kate Winslet would have, like, such good on-screen chemistry or
Such
that
good
this relationship would work, but it
Yeah.
does. It
'Cause,
works.
Yeah, and, like, Kate Winslet, like, I mean, like, look, like, I don't think this is really a hot take anymore all these years later, but, like, I don't like Rose from the Titanic. However,
Love Kate Winslet.
Yeah, she's just one of those actresses where I'm like, you just fall in love with her, don't you? You just do.
There's something about her.
Yeah,
I'm like, oh, not me being shy.
I'm like twirling my hair at the screen.
Yeah. Kate Winslet is has the same energy for me that Henry Cavill does.
So, like, they meet, and he has to drop something off, like, because, like, remember that awful boyfriend Cam left behind? Well, like, Jack Black works
No,
with him.
because he's in one scene. I don't remember him.
Well, Jack Black is here to remind you that he was a person who was alive. And they work together, and he did just, like, pick up something there or whatever. And it's just really cute because she's like, I don't know how this house works. I'm trying to let you in.
To the gate, the front gate, not like the front door.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be so funny. Her trying to unlock the door. And she's like, hey, like, I can hear you on the other side. I'm sorry, I've never been here before.
If it's like one of those things where, like, you unlock one, but then the top relocks.
Yeah, and you're like,
It's a
oh,
puzzle
God,
lock.
hold on. Yeah.
So
She's trying to work the alarm system.
yeah, so it's like
Put in the right code, but it's still beeping.
And it's really cute, and he comes out, and And then she comes out and they talk for a little bit. And it's like his girlfriend is in the car.
She's right there.
On TikTok or something.
Yeah.
It's 2005, so not TikTok.
Yeah. Yeah.
But like,
what social media
Musical.ly.
existed? Yeah.
yeah,
That
that's
ancient
the one.
artifact.
Zax is really
Musical.ly.
old and I'm really young. I don't know what was out in 2005.
Dab Fortnite.
It
Sounds
is
so
weird though because like I guess maybe she was like texting her like because I was like I was really trying to think about like what was even technology because it's not like you could Skype with people even yet.
She's checking on her Nintendogs.
Yeah, she's got her Tamagotchi.
Yeah.
Maybe it was a BlackBerry. Maybe she was texting someone.
She's pinging her
emailing
friends.
someone.
Maybe.
Maybe she was
So
on
she's
Friendster.
doing whatever in the car.
Yeah.
Cameron Diaz, no, not Cameron. Ugh, no. Get that out of my mouth.
Quiet, gross.
Just kidding. No shade. I liked Bad Teacher. You're fine. But anyway.
That makes one of us.
Kate Winslet has an eyelash, and Jack Black gets real close and like takes it out, and they're like looking at each other, and like I'm like, this is like a high key moment y'all are having right now, and your girlfriend is right there, sir.
But she's like on her phone, so she doesn't notice.
That's
So
like
I,
the
like-
one thing I think that made me uncomfortable was that I'm like, oh, but Jack Black is like loves his girlfriend, but he's still flirting, and it's weird. But I'm like, now I'm wondering if he was supposed to come across as flirting or if he was just supposed to come across as sweet. You know how like
I think
sometimes people are like mistake sweet for flirting or something.
yeah.
Yeah, I think it was really cute too because like I mean maybe there are, I just can't think of it, but usually like the same moment that he had, I've seen like that same sort of thing happen, but it's usually girls doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And like the guy like immediately is like, oh, Zooey mama, I'm in love or whatever, because it's like a girl who's just really affectionate. But I think, yeah, I don't think it was supposed to really be flirty. I think Jack is just one of those like really just like touchy feely people who's just like
I think
really cute and affectionate all the
yeah.
time.
I think why it works is because like it can like be taken as like, oh, you're being like a little flirty, but like it was never creepy. It was never
Yeah,
like you
that's
feel
true.
uncomfy watching it. You're just kind of like, oh, Jack Black, you like have a girlfriend?
Yeah.
Yeah, like especially too because like, but then also like, and like we were talking about,
And he
this,
does acknowledge it too. Like, oh,
Yeah.
I didn't mean to go in for the second kiss on your cheek and linger. Sorry about that. You're like, oh,
Yeah.
haha, it's okay.
Yeah. And, like, with the first scene when they meet, like, you know, his girlfriend's right there, and, like, he even was like, yeah, this is my girlfriend or whatever. But, like, I think we were talking about it. It might just be something, like, when you're looking back, like, after you watch it, it adds up. But, like, just for,
In the
like,
moment.
movie rule. Yeah, but for movie rules, I think we're supposed to know that she's not the one for Jack Black. Anyway, one, because, like, obviously Kate Winslet's gonna be. But also because he's like, listen to this score. It's so good. You hear, like, this music, the aria,
flutes.
and all this jargon and whatever.
She's
Like-
on her phone like, I'm paying rent. Please stop.
And it's like, oh, okay. Which I'm like, I don't, like, obviously, like, because we were talking about this a little bit, and it's like, yeah, like, he probably does this all the time, so she's, like, over it, but at the same time, though, I don't know. I feel like if you're really into something, the person you're with should, like, at least be into you being into
I
it.
agree, but not everybody, one, feels that way, or two, is able to fake it. So, I agree
I at
with
least
you.
try to listen. I at least try to listen to Andrew talk about 40K when I know absolutely nothing about the game. But I'm like, yeah, I see that this is something you're passionate about, and it's cute when you
Yeah.
nerd out like this. Go off.
I mean,
Yeah,
and
like,
She could have at
that's
least
even-
humored him.
That's even a fair thing to do, like, with your friends,
Yeah.
to do with your friends or whatever. If you're not super into something, but they are, just,
yeah.
You listen
Be
and like
excited
give them
for
eye
them.
contact. Yeah.
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 At least give eye contact. That's the nice thing to do.
At least look up and be like,
Put your
I
phone
don't
down,
know,
Maggie.
Even if she was honest about it, like, you're really cute and, like, you're so into this, I'm sorry. I'm just like,
Yeah, that too.
I don't know what to
Texting-
say. I
I'm
got
texting my roommate right now. The sync isn't working.
Like, I'm not that into this, but, like, I love you. Go off, you know?
Yeah. I don't know
So-
why we're talking about Maggie. This movie's not about her.
Yeah, so back to Kate Winslet.
Mm-hmm.
So, like we said, she's living her best life. She's, like, watching movies. And then she has
cozy.
She's out, like, for a drive one day. Also, by the way...
Much better driver.
Yeah, I was gonna say, interestingly enough, she didn't almost crash into, like, 3 dogs and a family.
That's because she's not supposed to be not like other girls, I guess. Even though it's genuinely quirky.
Yeah.
I don't know if she was
She's
supposed to be, but she was.
She's
like,
showing us quirky and not, like, telling us that she's quirky.
Yeah, but, like, she just parks and she picks up this little man. Is his name Arnold in the movie?
Arthur.
Arthur, yes, okay. I
This
knew
one.
R.
Arr.
Pirate.
Welcome to Kind of Friends.
I.
You're going to Yamune's locker.
Okay, so she sees him and he's there and it turns and like they get in the car and I loved this dialogue so much. I think we all like gushed about it. Like I worked with older people for a while, so seeing like this like being presented so well and nice was like really like I really liked it a lot. But when she picks him up in the car, he's like, I just got so confused because like I used to know where everything was.
He said
but
he
they've
lived
been
there
changing.
for 40 years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he lived there for 40 years, but they've been doing, like, building new things, and one of it looked different, and I got confused. And she's just like, that would be very confusing. And she's just, like, so patient with him. She's, like, walking behind him, but she's not, like, carrying him. Like,
Or
she's
touching
like,
him at all.
Yeah, like, I think... Carina, you said like she's like respecting his autonomy and like stuff and like
treating not infantilizing him. She's like you're
him with
obviously
dignity.
you're an adult. I'm going to treat you like an adult, but I'm going to accommodate for your like your different abilities. And it's like it's so refreshing and nice to see that.
Yeah, cuz there's like a lot of time like one thing that's like kind of like it's not the same thing, but one thing that's always really like frustrating to me in movies is when they'll have like a grandparent who's like has dementia or something, which is a very hard situation, but like they'll always just show people like just yelling at them and being like, no, that's not it anymore, don't you remember, Nana? And it's like, no, she does, she wishes she did, she's just scared, and be nice to her, please. I know you're sad that she's not how she used to be, but like,
but imagine how she feels.
Yeah, like
she's lost in her own brain.
It's very frustrating when I see that in movies. Anyway. Moving on.
Yeah. But yeah,
so
the way Kate Winslet talks to Arthur, so nice. The way she treats Arthur, so nice.
And they just have like a genuine friendship. He explains to her what a meet cute is.
It's really nice.
And it's so cute. He's like, you know, in the old movies, like, we're here. And then at the end, like, when she's leaving, she's like, well, I really enjoyed our meet cute.
And he's like, ooh.
like, you silly little British lady.
No.
You don't
Nice
know.
old man.
You don't need no Hollywood talk.
Yeah. And then, like, she notices that, like, oh, he's, like, kind of lonely. And she's like, oh, I was gonna go out to dinner tonight. Do you want to go with me? And he's like, oh, yeah, sure. And they just hang out at dinner. And it's so nice.
Juxtapose that with that boring dinner date you and Cam go on. And it was like the kind of thing where maybe this was a mistake in like editing. Like if we had seen Cameron Diaz's dinner date first and then saw Kate Winslet's after, it would still be superior, but it wouldn't be such a like plummet.
Yeah.
Because it's
and there's a point where like Kate Winslet starts talking about like, oh, like why I'm here, because I'm like trying to get away from people. I'm trying to get away from this one person. And they explain like they don't go into like full detail like it would normally, like, oh, well, like all this happened. It's just like, oh, like this guy broke my heart. And then Arthur's like, so he's a schmuck. And she's like, yeah, he is a schmuck.
Yeah, so that's what we get too. We get their full conversation. They don't cut into a montage.
Yeah.
With music over. And then when we go to Cameron Diaz, we don't even get a full conversation. We don't even get a full scene.
It's just like, all right, look happy, look like you're having a fun conversation.
But right before the montage, then she just says, like, yeah, so anyway, that's why I can't cry, because my dad left and stuff. And it's like, okay.
It was something that should have been... They skipped, like, the whole interesting part.
Like, I don't know how we got here,
Yeah.
but, like, if
Well,
I'm
this is the
Jude
question
Law,
that you were answering.
Yeah. It's like in, like... I
So
feel
when's
like
the
in,
last time you cried? What? Is that
And
what we were
especially
asking?
I guess, because I guess kind of because Jude Law did say something like, man, like, I'm just like a baby. I just sob all the time.
Wah, wah, I'm Jude Law. Wah, wah.
Yeah, that's it. So
That's their characters. Wah, wah, I'm Jude Law. Hey, I'm Cameron Diaz.
So then they go to this dinner, and then, you know, it's not, I also like it too that, like, they built this friendship between her and Arthur through the whole movie. It's not just like she did this one solid one day and then we're never gonna see them again. She hosts is it
Hanukkah.
for Hanukkah? It's Hanukkah. Yeah, she hosts
Oh,
like a Hanukkah dinner.
Before the Hanukkah dinner party, I want to talk about the advice that he gives her, which is so nice.
Oh yeah.
So she explains her, like, life situation. And she's like, oh, like, you know, like, this guy is just walking all over me, and, like, it's breaking my heart. And Arthur says, like, you know, in movies, there's the leading lady and the best friend. You need to start living your life like you're the leading lady, because it sounds to me like you're being the best friend. And then she's like, Arthur, that is the best advice I have ever gotten. I've been seeing a therapist for 3 years, and not once has she made things more clear than you have now. And, like, first of all, Kate Winslet, if your therapist is not, like, doing it for you, you should find a
Change
new
therapist.
therapist. Yeah, if it's
That's
3
okay.
years and things are still confusing, that's okay. The therapist isn't gonna be sad. They're like, okay, yeah, I'm glad that you're recognizing that, like, you need to, you know, see what works for you. Good for you. Secondly, that's such nice advice. It's so
Yeah.
simple, but, like, it gets across, like, you need to love yourself, you need to treat yourself better, and you need to make sure that other people are treating you better. I'm like, yeah, I love that. And that's such a nice message, especially for what Kate Winslet's story is about, and, like,
Yeah.
toxic relationships and loving yourself and all of that. And I'm really glad that the movie took the time to give this as much care as it did.
Yeah, it's like it's really like a perfect example, I feel like, of everything we'll ever talk about in the You're Welcome series about, like, how things should be done. Because, like, in the same movie, like, her friend was literally like, you're pathetic. Has he ever said I love you? Oh my gosh, that's what I forgot.
Oh
Okay.
my god.
So we mentioned at the
How can we
beginning of
forget
this
this?
that we found some KOF lore throughout. And if you guys have been following our... Did that video come out yet? Maybe. I don't know. I think-
If you've been
I know
following
it-
the Sorry Sonic series.
Yeah. But, yeah, no, I'm pretty sure. I at least edited it. So, yeah, by the time you see this, that video's come out. Okay, so there's this wild conversation with Sonic and Amy. Because Sonic, you know, is just stalking Shadow like you do.
Yeah, that video's out.
Yeah. And...
Hey, Dad, why are you talking to my mom like this?
And Amy is just like, but has he ever told you he loves you? And that is what Kate Winslet's best friend says to her. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is the same thing.
And it's literally, like, I wish that we wrote down, like, when these happened. But, like,
Several times.
it was several times where we're like, oh my god, this is just Silver's pain.
Oh my gosh. Like,
It
so
was
there
spooky.
that. It was really weird. And, like, yeah, so then, back to this. So then, like, even though the best friend said it, she was just like, you're pathetic, which I feel is, like, easier to, like, just dismiss. Like, you're just being mean because you're my best friend. But, like, hearing it from somebody else, and he's, like, nice about it, but also kind of, like, firm, like, hey, you, love yourself. You're
Yeah.
great.
Get yourself better.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, like, that's just, like, so sweet. So then, and like I was saying, like, it's not just, like, this one-off deal where they just, like, have this dinner and then we, like, remember
Never
Arthur,
see
who's
Arthur
that?
again. Yeah.
She hosts his bar mitzvah, gets him and his friends
bar mitzvah?
together. I know, it's not his bar mitzvah. She hosts Hanukkah, so he can get him. And, that would be a cute thing.
I'm a 13-year-old boy.
I never got to have one. It's my bucket list. I don't know.
He
That
never
could be
became a
something.
man.
Maybe he just didn't get to go as hard as he always wanted to for his bar mitzvah.
Oh, that would be kind of cute, like him reminiscing about his bar mitzvah.
Or something. I don't know. Anyway, they host the Hanukkah.
They host
dinner.
Hanukkah.
I am so sorry. I'm not trying to be disrespectful.
To all of our Jewish viewers, obviously we're not Jewish.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I feel bad. But anyway, she hosts I almost said it again. She hosts this Hanukkah dinner and has his friends over. And then Jack Black is, like, dropping something off or something. I don't really know why he came over. But he pops over and he's like, oh, wow, like, what's going on? And then she's like, oh,
She's like,
we're doing this thing.
And then he's like, oh, like, I didn't know you joined a temple within the last couple of days. And she's like, haha, you're so funny. And I'm like, Jack Black, why are you doing it for me?
Like, why are you being, like, real cute right now? I think that's one thing, like, about, like, Kate Winslet and Jack Black's energy. Like, I was just,
It
like,
just
getting,
works.
like, and, like, they go together. I'm in love with both of them. Like, we're just, like, it's just a lot of feels all around for everybody. So, then he sticks around, and Arthur immediately ships it and is like, yeah, okay, this'll work. But he mentions that he has a girlfriend, and he's like, I don't even know why she'd be with someone like me. I'm just so lucky. And, like, so it's like some, like, low-key, like, pretty self-deprecating things, honestly, about this relationship that, like, but he says them in such, like, a sweet way. I think it's easy to be like, oh, it's fine.
And
but
he's talking at dinner about what he's grateful for.
yeah.
So-
Because, like, yeah.
He's like, oh, like, my beautiful, talented girlfriend. I don't know what she sees in me because she's so great and I love her. And then, like, in retrospective, you're like, uh-oh, something's gonna happen.
Yeah. And, like, he definitely, and Arthur, I guess he sees that writing on the wall. So, then they're leaving, and we mentioned this. He, like, is like, okay, well, I had a nice night. He gives her a kiss on the cheek. And then he says...
Like a
and,
nice
like,
friend, like, smooch on the cheek while you leave.
And then she's like... And then he gives her another one. And he's like, oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to kiss you twice. And then lingers so much on the second one. And it's like, it's okay. It's fine. Which...
He's like, oh, I'm sorry. I respect women and I didn't mean to invade your personal space. And she's like, no, it's okay.
Disrespect me more. No, I'm kidding. Nobody does that.
Oh my
That's
God.
not the takeaway.
Oh my god, that's not the vibe of this movie.
It's really, really not. It is love yourself, and self-care activities are great.
This movie
Take some-
just suddenly takes a turn and becomes 50 Shades.
Oh my gosh. Okay, wait. This
Becomes
just reminded me of this.
365.
This reminds me of this TikTok I saw because I was about to say, yes, Zaddy. What is Zaddy?
Zaddy is gay lingo for daddy, and I don't want to explain what that is.
That's weird because on the TikToks it's just been girls saying it.
Well, like, I mean, it's like, it was like a thing in like the queer community, and then straight girls picked it up.
Like
Weird.
everything.
Like everything, yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. All right.
But yeah,
Anyway.
if somebody is a zaddy, they are older and sexy.
Oh, okay. Nice
Thank
to
you for
know.
coming to my episode of Queer Eye.
Finger guns. Okay,
Yeah.
so then next thing, Kate Winslet is feeling so good. She's been taking care of herself. She's feeling great. This was the saddest scene of the whole movie to me.
It was so
Oh my
sad.
She-
It was the second saddest scene for me.
And this was like, I feel like it hit me because like this is really real.
Yeah.
So she wakes up. She's like dancing in her bed, wiggling, which was like such a better scene than that Mr. Brightside nonsense. And then she gets a call from Jasper, like, hey, you know, I need you to do this stuff for me.
Oh my god,
And-
before that though, so before she like gets on her little plane to come over to America, she gets a text from Jasper. He says some like nonsense, whatever. And then she's like, Jasper, I think it would be best if we stopped talking. And you're like, yes, queen. Yes, baby, you can do it. But then Jasper calls her and he's like, oh, I couldn't get a hold of you from like your home phone or whatever. She's like, yeah, because I left. And he's like, oh my gosh, you left? Oh my god, I missed you. She's like, really, you have? And he's like, yeah, I was just thinking about you. And she's like, you were? And he's like, yeah. Oh man, I'm really stumped on this like paper that I'm working on. And she's like, oh, you are? And he's like, yeah, you know what I need? What? I need your brilliant brain to look it over. Okay. And he's like, thanks, I love you, you're so great, mwah, mwah, mwah. I'm thinking about you. And she's like, oh yeah, for real? And he's like, yeah. Okay, gotta go, bye.
No, she starts trying to have an actual conversation and
Yeah.
starts asking him a question, and he's like, oh, I just got to my fiance's house, bye.
See ya, bye. And like you, like the way Kate Winslet like acts throughout this scene, like you see her like get excited and like sit up and like start to get cozy to hunker down for a nice conversation. And then as soon as he's like, gotta go by, she like shrinks in on herself and just like goes back to sleep. I'm like, oh, that is so sad. That is so sad, and I have
She
been
turns-
there.
She closes
brings-
the automatic
yeah.
blinds, tucks herself back
It's
in.
like,
yeah.
yeah, like never mind. I'm not starting the day now. I'm like, oh,
And it was
that hurts.
Yeah, it does. But then we get a cute thing. So she's hanging out with Arthur again. And she's at his place, and he has this notice from like the Writers Guild, and they want to do this thing in his honor.
Because
And-
Arthur was a big Hollywood writer back in his heyday. He's like, like in the movie universe, he's like responsible for like all these like little famous quips in movies. And they're like, oh man, Arthur, you're so great. We want to honor you at this
And
award
he has
night.
awards. He has an Oscar.
This man has an
Yeah.
Oscar just sitting on his desk, super cash.
And then
The
like
same,
she's
the same
like-
way that director did in The Godfather before his horse got killed.
Oh no. Then she like at first he's just like, it's dumb, it's stupid, and like after prodding, she basically gets him to admit like he's self-conscious because he doesn't want to go there on his walker. And then we have the most beautiful training montage.
Oh,
like
it's
Rocky
so
is
sweet.
quaking.
So good.
Like-
Oh, wait,
like-
and also important, he doesn't want to go there on his walker, and he thinks nobody remembers him.
Yeah,
So he's
Right.
like, what's the point of going? There's going to be 11 people there.
There's going to be 11 people there. I look like I'm 100 years old. It's going to be so embarrassing. I don't want to go.
Mhm.
And you're
So
like,
then-
oh,
And-
Arthur.
Yeah.
They go like we also this is part I forgot to mention, part of Kate Winslet living her best life is she uses Cameron Diaz's pool and does like laps all the time, and I'm like, you know, Cam isn't.
No, Cam has never been in that pool.
She just has it to have it, which I'm like, I never get that.
She has done a Kim Kardashian, and she's like, I've never been in like one of her 8 pools before. And Kanye's like, you what? She's like, yeah, I've never been in the pool. And he's like, I have made a mistake.
So then, yeah. So
They
they,
hop
do
in the
this like,
pool.
yeah, they're in
They
the
do
pool.
water aerobics.
Yeah, like they do, like they walk. There's this cute scene where like he's getting up and she like cute, adorably like puts her foot on his walker and like sort of leads it away a little bit. And like they look at each other like their eyebrows raised, and she's like, "Yeah, you thought
We're
training
doing
was
this."
over, but it's not."
But it's like, it's just a, like, because like being in the water, like when you're like trying to like lose weight or like do physiotherapy, it's so good because it takes like the pressure off of like your knees, so it's like easy,
But
like because it's zero gravity.
There's also resistance.
yeah,
Yeah.
There's
It's
the water
just-
resistance. So it's like,
so nice. And Kate Winslet's like, yeah, like we could do it this way, and I'm like, oh, that's so nice. But
I
she
I'm
starts
sh-
walking from one end of the pool with him, and then she's like, great, and she turns around and starts walking, but then he just goes underwater for a sec, and she goes over to get him, and she's like, oh my god, are you okay? I'm sorry. And he's like, yeah, I just slipped, I'm fine.
I feel like there's probably, like, I know there's, like, lots of movies that people are like, this is, like, the girl's Bible or whatever, but honestly, this is, like, the people Bible of movies, because, like, just Kate Winslet's half. But,
like, exclusively Kate Winslet's half.
Cam's is, like, the what not to do, I guess, but it's honestly just the nothing. It's just, like...
It's nothing.
It's just the Wattpad.
But, like, it just, like, teaches you so much, like, life advice, honestly.
It really does.
So, yeah. Then they do this training thing. Jack Black calls her at one point and is like,
let's go to Blockbuster.
Yeah, let's go to Blockbuster. Let's get some movies. And they have this cute thing where he just loves gushing about movies and, like, soundtracks and stuff. And, like,
I thought Kate Winslet, or, like, he called and she invited him over to, like...
Oh, yes, you're right. Yes. Yeah. He goes
Wait,
over.
Was this when she and Cameron Diaz, like, talked for the first time? And there was this funny, like, she's at her desk and she gets on the phone with her brother. And she's like, hey, Jude Law, how's it going? And he's like, oh, great. Hey, there's someone staying in your house. And she's like, oh, yeah, it's Cameron Diaz. Have you met her? And he's like, oh, yeah, I sure have. She's like, oh, I'm getting another call. Hold on. And it's Cameron Diaz. She's like, hey, I met your brother. And she's like, oh, how's it going? And then there's this back and forth between, like, oh, can you tell him that I'm doing...
They're using her as the messenger, and she keeps on having to switch lines.
And she's like, it's funny because, like, she's being very physical about it. Like, she leans closer to the left side of her desk, and then when she switches lines, she leans closer to the right side. But there's this point where she's on Cameron Diaz's line, and she's like, can you hold on for 1 second? Okay. And she thinks she changes lines. She just goes thinking she's talking to Jude Law.
She whips around out to the other side.
I can't believe you've had sex with my house guest. And then she's like, and then Cameron Diaz, who's still on the line, she's like, oh my gosh, oh, did he tell you? And she's like, no, he didn't. I'm sorry, I just assumed. Hold on. She thinks she switches lines again. And then goes on this big monologue that is so iconic. And then the camera switches back to Cameron Diaz, and she's like, it's still me on the line. And she's like, God damn it, I think I lost him.
It was so cute. And, like, I have to point out that, like, the best scene of Cam and Jude's storyline is when Kate Winslet was there.
Being facilitated by Kate Winslet. I'm just saying her back must have hurt by carrying the movie.
Because she was, like,
and Jack
into
Black.
it.
Yeah, Jack Black, absolutely.
Yeah. But he wasn't here right now.
Yeah. Oh, but then he is because she, like, gets another call and she's like, oh my god, like, Cameron Diaz, like, this is such a disaster, I'm gonna have to call you back. And then she gets on the line with Jack Black and he's like, is it a bad time to call? He's, like, drinking orange juice and he's like, should I call you later?
I know that whole thing has been done to death, but I think it's so cute when someone's
funny.
Like been on the phone with one person, they're all mad and they're bothered, they get another call, they're like, what? And it's like, hi.
Regina, can I call you back? Sure. Oh my god, she's so annoying. Who's so annoying? Oh my god, hello?
It's just like, stuff like that, just so cute.
Yeah.
Okay, so then
So
they
they're at
start hanging
Blockbuster.
out. They go to Blockbuster and he's like, Jaws has a good soundtrack. He makes like a whole joke about The Graduate. Then Dustin Hoffman is there and he's like, I can't go anywhere. And it's just like, ha ha ha, we're in Hollywood. This happens all the time.
There's a point where, like, they pick up a movie and it's Hans Zimmer, who was the, the composer for the movie. I was like,
how long it took you to get to that word.
I was trying really hard. But, like, Hans Zimmer composed the movie, and I feel like what happened there was, like, as the script was being written, Hans, like, went into the writing room and, like, looked over the writer's shoulder and was like, hey, can you pick one of my movies? They were like, alright, which one? And he's like, I like this one. And they're like, alright, we'll give you a shout out. He's like, thanks, I'll go back to work.
The whole movie's a shout out because he did it, but he still wants more.
He's like,
Like,
can you,
people don't.
can you give me a shout out and say my movie music is good? And they're like, people know. And he's like, I know, but I just like to hear it.
It's just good.
I don't
to
know
be
why I'm making him
recognized.
like a little baby.
I know. Especially
He's
like
a
as soon
grown
as.
man.
Because I'm pretty sure when we first saw him in it, Rogue was like, oh, it's Hans Zimmer. Obviously, that's why it's good.
Yeah, that's why the score slaps.
Okay. So then, unfortunately, it's not all fun and games at Blockbuster. Outside the window, we see Magaroo with some
my
random guy on her
God.
arm.
Laughing
And we thought that
and
she
touching
was-
his chest.
And we thought that she was filming a movie in somewhere else.
In
And
New
oh my
Mexico,
God.
that
Yeah.
awful,
Mexico.
awful place.
Who lives there? I bet only people named Rogue live there.
Yeah.
But then we're like, oh my god, she was supposed to be there. And then Jack Black runs outside and he's like, oh my god, Maggie, what the heck? And we see her like try and explain the situation. And he just like hangs his head and we're like, oh my god, it's so sad.
I have to
And
say, Jack Black is so genuine in this scene. It's crazy how amazing. A lot of comedians are really amazing at drama also.
Yeah.
And he seemed so genuine when he was like goofing around, having a good time with Kate Winslet, and then he happens to look outside and catches this glimpse of his girlfriend and says, what? But it's like it interrupts whatever he was doing. It was so genuine. He seemed genuinely shocked. Like,
Yeah, and it was
like
also,
he didn't even know this was part of the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was like really good that we were like seeing it through Kate Winslet's eyes, and like we see her and she's like, oh my gosh, I've been there. Like her face is just like it, her eyes just say everything. Like, I feel for you. I can't believe this is even happening right now. This is insane. Like, oh gosh, this is awful. I'm so sorry, Jack Black. Like, it's just really, it's a lot.
And then we cut back to Kate Winslet's party pad. And Jack Black is like being sad. He's like, oh no, like, why did this happen? I don't get it. And then we learned that like she said like that she was lying about where she was because she finished filming in 2 days and said the whole time that she was in New Mexico. And it turns out that she was back in LA and just staying with this other schmuck for like days and days. And he's like, oh, I sent her Christmas present to New Mexico. And I'm like, you know what? That's what you get for cheating on your boyfriend.
Yep.
If you're a cheater, you don't get Christmas presents.
No more Christmas presents.
Yeah.
That's
And then
that's a takeaway.
yeah, and then it's this really excellent scene with Kate Winslet like explaining like, you know, I know it's super like corny to say like I know how you feel, but like for real, like I've been there. And it's like it's her explaining like why she has been in this toxic relationship with Jasper as long as she had. And she's like, you know, like Rogue was saying it earlier about like, you know, like people will tell you that it's bad, but like you'll say to yourself they don't know him like I do. It's when it's good, it's great. When it's bad, but like you feel that all of the good outweighs all of that nasty, awful stuff. And you just think like there's this like, oh, it really hurt. She's like, and you just keep thinking to yourself, like over analyzing every little thing you've done to try and find some reason as to why this happened, because you think that you were so stupid and dumb for thinking that things could have been this good. And I'm like, oh, this hurts.
So this was so well articulated, and I don't have like a lot of IRL female friends who I would like dish with and talk about this kind of thing with. So I felt like nobody else could understand what I was going through, and then it was in this movie and I was like, well, clearly someone else is having this experience. And what a wild journey to go on at my age. But I felt like this lady who wrote this screenplay just like reached out and just
New.
demolished my soul. I'm like, you just read me and you haven't even seen me. It's crazy.
Yeah, it was really good. And, like, the fact that, like, it's good that, like, her and Jack Black are both going through this, and, like, we've all gone through this, like...
It was an interesting
it was
kind
just,
of
like,
friends bonding moment when we were
we
all
were all
sitting
just
there
like-
oh, I relate.
Like, we've all been...
We've all been done dirty.
It's just, ooh, memories.
Memories, all alone
then-
in the moonlight.
Yeah, like, I totally recommend you, like, watch this. You can fast forward chaos part, or you can laugh, because, like, that eye kiss was real weird and super
so
sketch.
bad. We were stuck on it for 15 minutes.
Like, okay, so, like, we're watching this, and I, like, was like, can we pause? And I, like, got Bob
Called
out
Bob
of bed and
into
was
the
like,
room.
no, you need to come here, you need to sit here, you need to look at this, because this is very bizarre. You need to look at this nonsense.
Look at it. I want all of you to look at it.
So then, next thing we see is,
They're having fettuccine. A little Christmas fettuccine to feel better. Which,
Yeah.
like, I relate. Sometimes you just need some fettuccine Alfredo to feel better.
You just need some carbs, you know?
Yeah.
yeah. And then, in this scene, so they have that, and they have, like, their heart-to-heart, and, like, she's, like, cheering him up and all that good stuff. But then, and that's, like, basically the end of their night there, right?
Oh, before that, they go into, like, Cameron Diaz's studio where there's a piano. Because Jack Black is gonna
yes.
write
Oh,
some music
no.
for Arthur when he goes and, like, gets his award. And he writes him, like, this really cute, like, chirpy, like, peppy tune that's, like, kind of cheeky and really fits Arthur.
It kind of sounds a little bit like Heart and Soul.
Yeah.
Everybody knows how to play that song on the piano, I guess.
But it's, like, this really, like, da, 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 da. It's, like, it's super cute. I'm like, oh, this is fun. I like this. And then he's, like, he, like, looks, I, like, almost, it's so sweet. He, like, looks to Kate Winslet, and he's like, oh, I wrote you one, too. I used only the good notes. I was like, I'm going to start crying. That's so sweet.
It was so cute,
Oh
because
my
it was
gosh.
also, like, wow, that was, like, real smooth.
Yeah.
And, like, you're playing it off like it wasn't the smoothest thing ever, which makes it even smoother. And I'm like...
And he just, like, super casually, like, goes back to, like, playing Arthur's tune, and they have this fun little moment where they're, like, trying to scat. It's really cute. I'm like, aw. And it, like, and then the next scene happens.
So wait, before that, I'm an old lady, but, like, we are simping for Jack Black right now, right? That's
Yeah.
what's
Oh,
happening
yeah.
here?
Yeah,
Okay.
we always have.
Okay, yeah, just making sure that, like, I'm in with the cool lingo. for
Every
Dad
time I
Black
think of
Fortnite.
Jack Black now, though, I do think of him, like, at that water park. Now from the top, make it drop.
Okay, so then, they go out to eat, and they're at, like, the salad bar, and
They're at a
he
sushi
gets
place.
a call. Oh, a sushi place, right?
Yeah.
Same thing.
Salad bar.
Sushi, salad. I don't know the difference between the two food groups.
The only two food groups. So then they're there.
Food is either sushi or salad. Changed my mind.
Oh my gosh. Then, so then he gets this call, and he's like, Maggie, what? And, like, he shook, and, like, we just had this call with Kate Winslet and Jasper earlier in the movie, but now he's having his own with Maggie, but the only difference is she's like, I want you back, like, you need to, like, be with me again, and he's like,
I'm having a
"Oh," like-
moment.
and then Kate Winslet's like, it's so weird too, because that's another thing, like, having this, like, thing happen with Jack Black is really interesting too, because it's like sometimes you don't really know what you were like until you see someone else, because, like, she's looking at this call and she's like, oh gosh,
Oh, no.
I was a wreck, like, I was a mess, I'm so
Oh my
like-
god, is this who we are? Is this what
She
we're
was
trying to represent?
and she was like, it was just so clear, and it was just like, that's some, like, it was just such a good, just getting to know Kate Winslet's character, getting to know Iris was just such a fun experience, because she's just such a person, but, like, Cameron Diaz was just such a trope.
Yeah.
Like, it was just
So
not.
so two-dimensional.
It was so weird. Like, they just told us, like, this is about the time you're supposed to feel this kind of way, right? Did we do it? No? Okay, bye. Anyway.
All right, back to Kate Winslet.
And, like, a lot of people, like, I've heard, like, I can't even think of examples right now, but there's, like, lots of times, like, where, like, movie review channels will talk about this movie where it's, like, it sounds like there were 2 writers for this movie, and, like, one guy kept, like, speaking into add this stuff. But, like, this is the one where I'm like, no, this is literally just 2 different movies.
Because Cameron Diaz's was her daughter's Wattpad story.
We did look it up. This movie only has 1 writer.
Yeah, which is just, I don't know what happened.
And a woman wrote this, so I'm so confused too. Because I'm like, on one half, you totally get, like, how to write women and how to write their experiences, but then you just throw that out the window for the other part of the movie.
Oh, I don't like foreplay.
Yeah, like, no, I'm sorry. If you're, like, a woman who is not asexual, I don't know why you wouldn't like that.
I guess, here's something. Maybe, because, like, okay, maybe, like, Kate Winslet, like, you know how we were, like, we all identify with her, we all get it, and, like, maybe this writer, like, she was like, yes, like, this is, like, basically my story, I'm sharing how, like, we all feel, I get it, I'm with you. But then, she was just thinking, and, like, Cameron Diaz is just her idea, like, I have business friends. They probably don't like foreplay. Am I right? I don't know.
Just her
Put it in.
Was this her OC? This was someone's OC.
Her business lady OC.
Like, that had to be it. Like, I'm sorry. I'm just so committed to this. This is my daughter's Wattpad story arc. Because it doesn't make sense that you could write such a masterpiece and then, like... I don't understand.
Maybe that part was written by the studio.
Maybe. Like, she just had, like, a nice, like, short film, like, a TV special or something. Like, I just want to put this story out there. It's, like, beautiful, whatever. And they were like, it needs to be longer.
And then they really tightened the grip on what the second story could be.
Maybe, honestly, that's a good deal to make. Like, you will not touch Kate Winslet's story, but I don't care what happens to this other lady. Like, it was actually, like, really dynamic and stuff or whatever.
She had her priorities.
She was like, look, it's fine. Do whatever there.
Listen, Cameron Diaz does this movie literally every year. It's fine. Kate Winslet, though, you are an Oscar winner. I am going to treat you with the respect you deserve in this film.
So then, okay, so then Jack Black is going back to Maggie. He wraps up dinner really quick, and Kate Winslet is like, yeah, and they're like, I get you, do what you gotta do, like, it's fine. I'll see you later. And he's like, I'm gonna try, like, I don't want to be late, but, like, at least. And she's like, I know how it goes, that's fine, no pressure, like, you do what you have to do, like.
I just want to say super quick, for people who have not been in toxic relationships like this, or just, like, a bad relationship with somebody, typically, it can take upwards of 7 times to leave that partner if they are, like, toxic or abusive. So, I guess, like, outwardly, like, people would see this, like, oh, no, don't, like, why are you going back to her? You're so dumb. No, there's a lot of psychology behind it. So, don't judge people for going back to abusive or toxic partners, because it's a process to leave them.
Right. And, like, that's just, like, another one of the things it does well. But then, while we're, like, that's kind of interesting, because we kind of, like, just, like, ride that wave, and we're like, oh, man, he's gonna get back with her. But, like, things were starting to look good with him and Iris and stuff. But then we get something really nice and cathartic, because Jasper decides to just pop on in.
Well, at first it's not very cathartic, because, like, your heart sinks, and there's a lump in your throat, because you're like, oh, no, we're back here.
Yeah, that's vocalized
true. We felt so itchy.
No.
We're like, oh my god, no. And, like, you see, like, so he shows up, and he's like, hey, I'm back. And she's like, oh my god. And she's in the kitchen, like, I don't know, like, getting wine or something. And she's just, like, 1,000-yard stare. I'm like, oh no. Oh no. This is so bad.
She left to get away from him.
Didn't tell anybody where she was going.
He found her. That's already scary enough.
That's what happens in Safe Haven.
She was across an ocean.
Yeah.
And he
That's, like,
followed her.
Awful. Oh,
That's so
gosh, it makes
scary.
me- ugh.
That's
Gives me
so
the jibblies thinking
scary.
about it.
And also, like, that's one thing, too, with, with just a few lines, they really made Jasper so villainous.
Like, so
Because
unlikable.
It becomes so clear that he's just, like, the second that she was, like, finding herself, he was like, I can't have that, basically.
Mm-hmm. So he comes
Like,
back.
she wasn't obsessed with me, so I need her back.
Yep.
And
need
then
to keep
he
her
was
under my thumb.
going...
Mm-hmm, exactly.
And yeah, and he was just going to lie to her about being with his fiance.
Yeah, because what happens, so she's like, so she starts to get back into this headspace of like, oh no, like, you know, when it's good, it's great. And so she's kind of like, you know, like, they're on the couch and they're like snuggling and she's like, oh my gosh, like, I can't believe, like, you want me back. And he's like, oh yeah, like, we can run away, it'd be so great. And then, like, they go in for the smooch and she's like, you know, I have to ask though, like, is the relationship still on with your fiance? And he avoids the question and she calls him out like, you didn't answer my question, are you with her, yes or no? And he's like, I mean, yeah. And she's like, oh, yikes, all right. And then it's this amazing moment where she just calls him out and it's so good to see.
That's cathartic.
It's so nice, like, oh my god. Like, it's so good. And she's like, you have never treated me right, you have used me, and this relationship is toxic, and I'm so much better than it, and we are absolutely done. I am no longer in love with you. And you're like, we were clapping, we're like, yes!
It was
Yes!
really good. Because at first I was, like, worried she wasn't gonna go as hard as she did, because he, like, tried to come at her with that whole, like, you always ruin things. Why can't you just, like, take this as it is?
Hit her with the whatever, like, no. I have the last word. And
then she's
kicks
like,
him out.
She kicks him out, and I was like, and then she gets all dolled up. She
before that,
picks
though.
up. Oh.
Before that, so, like, she slams the door in his face, and she's like, and he's like, what has gotten into you? And she's like, I don't know, but I think it's something that resembles gumption, because Arthur had said, he had said the word gumption a couple times. He's like, oh, you need some gumption. And she found it, and then she slams the door in his face, and there's just this, like, pure joy moment from her, where, like, you can see it, like, physically, like, lift off her shoulders, and it's so nice to see.
It was, like, honestly, I feel like other, like, rom-coms have, like, similar moments, but they don't feel nearly as earned as
it,
this
like,
did.
oh, it was so earned, and it's so, like, especially if someone has been in a similar situation, like, you get that joy of, like, I'm finally free from you. It's so, like, oh, I could cry. It's so nice to see.
Yeah. So then, she gets all dolled up. She picks up Arthur, and we get to go to this big Writers Guild thing that they've been training for.
But oh my god, it's so cute too, because he's like, he puts his little suit on, and like like Jack Black and Kate Winslet, they went and like got him a suit tailored, and it was really sweet, and he's got his nice little new suit on, and he's like, oh my gosh, Iris, you look so beautiful. I got you a corsage, is that corny? And she's like, oh my god, you sweet old man. He got her a corsage, I can't.
It was like, and she like, and they get there, and the doors open, and the room is packed with people.
And he's like, oh, all these people came to see me, and they're like, yeah, we came to see you, we love you.
And his friends are there.
Oh my
And
god.
everyone's clapping.
It was, and like at the beginning, Ro brought up like he thought nobody was gonna come to this thing. It'd be like 10 people or something, and it's like it was full.
Packed.
All these people who love him. He walks up and like he takes. It's also good. Like he takes a little bit of time. He makes like a little joke, like I got up here, you know.
He goes
and
up the
everything.
stairs, no hands.
Mhm.
No handrail.
Mhm.
Quickly, briskly.
Yeah.
runs
Like,
up the
oh
stairs.
yes, Arthur.
Yeah, and like
What
it just,
another
like,
satisfying moment. We
Yeah.
love to see
Mhm.
it.
It was such a heartwarming thing. Like, just the whole thing. So then Iris is there, she's watching him, and then Jack Black goes and he runs in and he's like, yeah.
And Arthur's theme is playing. Kate Winslet's like, oh, he made it. And then he zips on in and he's like, oh, thank goodness. By the way, that Maggie thing's so over. I am so done with her. We're like, yeah, look at you too, putting your foot down, knowing your worth.
Yeah, that was one scene we did, like, real quick, like, I'll just mention, because, like, we have been, like, gushing about Kate Winslet, but, like, we do see he's sitting on the couch, and she's, like, pacing back and forth, and she's like, look, like, I love you, and, like,
I'm
saying, like,
sorry,
all this, like,
baby, I made a mistake.
gaslighty stuff, and, like...
Super manipulative.
Yeah, and he's just, like, sitting there, and it's, like...
Not having it.
And, like, his face, yeah, his face is, but it's kind of, like, you don't know. It's, like, it looks like he's not
Like
having
he's
it, but at the same time...
processing.
Yeah, it looks like... Is he getting sucked back in? I don't know. So then when we see him come back, we're like, oh, good, it didn't take.
And then, like, Arthur's giving his speech about, like, it was kind of funny, because he was like, oh, when I first came to Hollywood, there was no such thing as blockbusters or DVDs. And I said, don't worry, Arthur, we don't have those now either.
Yeah.
And he's like, and he's giving a speech, and then the camera cuts back to, like, Kate Winslet and Jack Black in the audience, and she's, like, watching him, and she's got her hands clasped the same way she did when she was watching Leo win his Oscar. So I was like, oh my god, she's like...
so proud.
Oh my god, she's so proud of him. I'm like, this is so sweet. And then Jack Black, like, leans over, and he's like, hey, Iris, I was just wondering, what are you doing for New Year's? I'm like, oh my god. And then she looks back to him, and she's like, oh, I'll be back in England by then. And he's like, oh, okay. You know, I've never been to England before. And you're like, oh my god, that was so smooth.
He is just so smooth. And
And then they have a little smooch.
A little smooch, and it's like...
It's so earned.
So earned.
And it's like, I'm not
Can
even...
you- That's the vocabulary word. Literary vocabulary word.
Yeah.
For this episode is earned.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The word of the
No,
day is earned.
It's... And, like, it's not, like, okay, like, to be clear... The problem with Jude Law and Cameron Diaz's relationship is not that it was primarily physical. That's totally fine. Mm-hmm. The problem was that it was like, I don't care about you people. You don't deserve to be in a movie.
Yeah,
this is some real basic nonsense.
It really. So there's a line in Cameron Diaz's part where she's talking about, like, she's getting ready to go. She's like, okay, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna kiss you for the millionth time, and then I'm gonna go. And you're like, that's the problem. It's the millionth time you've kissed. The kiss means nothing now. Whereas with, sorry,
so
go
they do kiss. So they do kiss, and this is when she's supposed to be leaving back to America. Mm-hmm. They kiss, and she leaves. And during the kiss, it was just like, okay, like,
right.
There
done
was
this
nothing.
already.
And part of it might have been because they were suffering from that chemistry, but
because, like, there's
suffering from the lack of chemistry, rather.
Yeah,
but
like, just to put it in
just like, all right.
I was tired of it.
I want to put it into perspective this way. Big Time Rush, a Nickelodeon hit show that honestly, pretty good.
Kind of slaps. Sometimes it slaps.
I think I was too old for it when it
came out. Anyway.
I mean, I was too, but that's neither here nor there. But what I will say, though, is there is this whole arc where Joe, Kendall's girlfriend, gets picked up for this big movie series, but they're filming in New Zealand, so she has to go. And it does segue into their song Worldwide, but before that, they forgot to goodbye kiss. And he has to run to the airport to give her one last goodbye kiss, even though they have kissed a bunch of times before. It was such a big enough deal that they were able to make me care. Because at first he's leaving, and then Carlos is like, well, at least you got one goodbye kiss. And he's like, we did it. And, like, the guys are helping him, and then she's like, I know we didn't goodbye kiss. And it's like this whole thing. But, like, where was that? Cameron Diaz and Jude Law.
Here's the fix for Cameron Diaz. So instead of we're gonna kiss for the millionth time, they're they're planning on breaking up here, right? Because she has to go back. So how about instead they're just like awkwardly, bye, like awkward.
Yeah.
She starts walking to the taxi, and then he runs after her, grabs her wrist, pulls her back into him, smooch passionately, and then without saying anything else, they just walk taxi house.
God, like that would
That's
my
the
God.
fix.
Like that leaves an impact. Instead of I'm gonna kiss you for the millionth time, I'm like, I don't care at this point. I don't care. Just like have your smooch, leave, don't come back, roll credits. I'm
You're
done.
banned
Take me back
from the UK.
Take me back to Kate Winslet. I don't care.
It was, and then she does that thing where she runs and stuff, and then that just leads into where
Stupid
they all
kitten heels.
have New Year's together, and it's great. One little thing that was annoying to me is that Cameron Diaz continued to, well, not her, but like her character continued to ruin this movie.
Well, maybe it was Cameron Diaz.
Because
I'm not a fan of her acting, but that's just me, and neither here nor there.
I like her.
I like her in Shrek. Because she's not on screen.
It's just so
I think she's very pretty.
I'm not saying she's not pretty, I'm just, like, not a fan of her acting. It's very, like...
Yeah, no.
You know?
I get that. I think I don't know. There's something about I just like her and stuff sometimes, but this wasn't it. But anyway, her character has to ruin it one more time. Kate Winslet and Jack Black are having this beautiful moment. They're just sort of like slow dancing together, just vibing.
It's so
and it's just like cute. And then Cameron Diaz is like, "Hey, quit that
Conga line.
conga line," because I'm
I
the
was
quirky
so
one.
annoyed. I was like, buzz off.
Go
we were having our
away.
own. Just because y'all don't care about each other,
She's wearing
don't ruin our
this. She's
thing.
wearing this dress with these stupid clear straps that are exclusively used for dance costumes.
That's it.
Rogue and I are like, what the hell is this? Why are you wearing this for your New Year's Eve party? Like, we weren't supposed to see the straps. That's what you wear when you want to put like a little jacket on. And you're like, oh, okay, no one's going to see my straps. No, you don't. Just, Cameron.
That's what you wear when you're on stage and your audience is 25 feet away.
Yeah, and you're like, nobody's going to see. And it's not like they work either. We figured out that they're gross. You get makeup on them. They're gonna break half the time anyways. And
They
if you're
slip out
bigger,
of the
if you're bigger than a B cup, you're like, forget it. It's not gonna work.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Cameron Diaz was wearing this stupid dress.
Okay, well, we've officially talked about both segments. We
Yay,
did it.
We did it.
Are there any
Final
other? Wait, are there any other crossovers from Silver's Pain or Silver's Return that we can remember?
I can't remember that, but I do have one more KOF tie-in.
Oh,
is
boy.
that we, at the end, we were processing our feelings and everything, and we realized Kate Winslet is Henry Cavill. And that means that Cameron Diaz is Alex Pettyfer.
Oh my god.
Which just like, I told Bob, I was like, I was just so good, like, our full circle. He's like, that's not what full circle, but okay, you're happy, it's fine. And I was like, yeah, I'm happy.
Like, for no other reason than just we like Kate Winslet and we don't like Cameron Diaz.
Yeah, like, it was just like, now I kind of need them to have like their own little movie together.
Oh,
where,
but think
like,
of
you're
how
just
terrible it would be. Like, Henry's parts would be absolutely amazing, but then you'd have to cut back
Oh,
to Alex.
so it would be another 50%.
Yeah.
I don't think I have seen a movie where exactly half of it is good.
Exactly half.
It's
How is
so
that possible?
It's so funny.
It's so bizarre.
There's
my
no redeeming
God.
parts to Cameron Diaz's storyline. No redeeming parts.
And then just
Other-
Hayes
okay.
is perfect.
Maybe, yeah. Maybe the fact that Jude Law is handsome
Yeah.
is the only redeeming
Jude Law,
quality.
Jude Law is a handsome man, and it's nice to look at him on screen, but other than that, nothing redeemable.
I love Jude Law, but honestly, Jack Black was just doing it too much for me.
Yeah.
Like,
Definitely.
he didn't stack up. Like, he didn't make those scenes work because, like, I'm sorry, but I'm in love with two people on the other half of this movie right now.
You need to start pulling your weight, Jude Law.
You can't Britishly charm us this time.
Yeah, we have another British in our life.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got
Her
Kate.
name is Kate Winslet.
Okay, well, this is the last video of the year. It's been a wild ride. As far as our retrospective, we've been trying new things. We talked about a lot of bad movies.
We talked about some good stuff.
I've got some good stuff.
And in this case, we talked about half good, half bad.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now that's what
And
I
I-
call full circle.
And you know, if that doesn't represent Kind of Friends, I don't know what does. Half good, half bad.
So on that note, remember to comment, like, and subscribe because we all need friends. Bye!
Happy holidays.